Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Brought to you by Guaranteed Foods, official sponsor of Family Mealtime. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. A number of different topics and things we will discuss, along with the NFL, some college football, and some Major League Baseball, some Royals baseball, some Royals news that we will get into and discuss here in just a little bit. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation if you would like to weigh in. Here's how the show lines up today. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, analytics expert. We'll talk with her about the Chiefs these first couple of weeks, get her thoughts on what she has seen from this Chiefs offense, from the defense, and what their sort of, potential moving forward is. And so we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland about that and some other NFL storylines and some other teams. So we'll hang out with Cynthia Freeland at 11 o'clock. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs today, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see who else will be at the podium today for the Chiefs. And then Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. We will hang out with Mick on this Wednesday from 1 to 2. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold. And then we've got Sporting KC taking on Nashville right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Did you happen to see the Royals' scheduled tweet for 10 a.m. this morning?
No, I did not see their scheduled tweet.
Neither did I. They just dropped a press release regarding site evaluation and stadium things. I can read that to you.
Yes,
I
please.
can stall while you. I'll give it here. This is just minutes ago from the Royals press release begins. It's about 4 paragraphs, so you can stick with me and just tell me when you want me to stop reading. Our site evaluation process is moving thoughtfully and directly, including a regular cadence of focused meetings with respected and designated negotiators with both counties and discussions on our next lease. We've been encouraged by the engagement of leaders in Jackson County and Clay County, with recent meetings furthering our progress in a meaningful way. Leaders in both counties know a critical piece of the evaluation process will be negotiated lease terms so that the Royals, our future partner, and most importantly, the voters, can know what to expect. With the framework of our current lease and willing partners on all sides, we are optimistic that the process will result in a win-win for the Royals and our next home. Although we will not have a site selected by the end of this month, we are more confident than ever that a world-class ballpark and surrounding district for entertainment, retail, and housing will build on our region's momentum, serve our citizens well, and further establish Kansas City as a top-tier destination for tourists. Final paragraph here. Leaders in both Jackson County and Clay County know that we and the Chiefs need clarity on our stadium plans in time for the public to be fully informed for a vote in April 2024. We take our responsibilities very seriously to act in the best interest of both the Royals and our region, and we will continue our work to make sure the project is done right.
Words, saying we're not ready to pick yet.
No stadium selected for this. No site selected by the end of this month. That feels like the lead there.
One sentence. Not yet.
Yeah.
Or it's the cliffhanger of the old TV shows and sitcoms back in the day, like, Full House when they got married and Jesse fell out of the plane and landed in the tomatoes, and then Aunt Becky was at the church waiting for Jesse, who wanted to skydive before he got married because apparently getting married was the end of his life, so he needed to do something to make himself feel like he's living, and a bucket list before he gets married. So he wanted to jump out of an airplane, a perfectly working airplane. He jumped out of it, and he got stuck in a tree. Then being stuck in a tree, he ends up landing in a tomato truck, whatever. All that to say, when he's stuck in the tree and Aunt Becky doesn't know where he is, it just goes to a black and it says, "To be continued, ... And you had to wait a week for that back in the day. to then see that turns out okay. They ended up getting married. Don't worry, and they lived happily ever after. They had some twins. Spoiler alert on Full House.
Well, it sounds like that house got more full.
Fuller. That is this. It's just to be continued. ... That's all I had to say. To be continued. And the citizens are the ones hanging in a tree right now. With our parachute that got caught in a tree, and we're just dangling there, waiting for some sort of an answer. And Jackson County and Clay County are the ones at the church right now waiting for them to figure out what the deal is. So there you go. There's my very quick Full House Royals right now. It's just to be continued. That's all this is. To be continued.
I think the only thing I might add would be that you could essentially boil it down to, we will not have a site selected by the end of this month, but we were still looking to have the public fully informed for a vote on April 2024.
Yeah, to be continued on picking it, but we still plan on April.
To be continued, but this deadline, the more strict deadline, is still the goal. That I find interesting. Not great or anything, but interesting to saying, hey, whoops, we're not going to have it by the end of September, but we do still want to have a vote on this in about 7 months.
September was more fluid.
Right.
April's more of a hard and fast deadline. It's there. Now, I don't know what the deadline is going to be to where they need to have the plans in place for the public to be informed on what the structure financially is going to look like and what the deal with the Chiefs is going to be and what site they're going to. But all of that, I don't know. Shut up, Bird. I'm not sure. Is that what's that?
Oh, hold on. A little birdie just told me that the Royals don't have a stadium site picked yet.
Oh.
Hey, it flew off.
Flew away.
Thanks,
you.
Bird.
It's been sitting out there going, hey, since we started the show, they don't have a site yet. It won't be by the end of September. Is nobody listening to me here? Do you guys not hear what I'm saying?
Surely one of you speaks bird.
I am talking to you right there. Yes, you. Turns out the Royals don't have a thank you. And then it flies away.
That bird's actually like the person in the back of every TV live shot, like, woo, look at Bob! Bob on TV! And then we just go, and there's a bird outside that's chirping. And then, oh, thanks, guys. Hey, great show. First time caller, long time listener. Swoosh.
Mick would have actually went and pushed that bird away.
He would have.
Get out of his live shot right now, guys.
Would have flipped that bird.
That's pretty good. Yeah, well done. But September seemed to be pretty fluid.
Yeah.
Clearly, I shouldn't say it seemed to be. Clearly, it was fluid.
Yeah.
But for the last couple of months, it didn't seem to be fluid. Let me restate that. Because from our perspective and what we had been told is by the end of September, we'll have a site. By the end of September, we'll have a site. By the end of September, we'll have a site. Clearly, in their mind, that was just a general timeline that they were hoping to get something done. But, man, they keep coming up with these, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and this, and it just keeps kicking the can down the road. And, well, a little, like, I would love to know what the actual, in their mind, date on a calendar circle that must be in place by this time to get on April ballot. Because that feels like it's coming pretty quickly. Feels like it's right around the corner because their timeline was the end of September.
Right.
We didn't say, well, they need to have something picked out by the end of September to be on the April ballot. They said that.
This is an honest question, not a rhetorical one.
Good.
How many of their self-imposed deadlines have they met? Or maybe less of a trap question, but like how many of their self-imposed deadlines have they missed?
Yeah.
And what's the point? I mean, again, if you want to say, hey, the counties want to know what our decision is by the end of September or whatever. I mean, we were in it. If you're surprised by this, you shouldn't be, because in the day of the renderings and that press conference and all of that, those couple of days, we were able to go through all that and say, well, okay, guys, but there are still some enormous questions for both sites, from funding purposes, from the governmental purposes. There's still not enough information to make a final decision yet here. How are you going to have that by the end of September? And today, the Royals tell you they won't. Feels like an unforced error.
Text says, Jason, the situation's becoming like that old saying, the Royals need to either poop or get off the pot when it comes to selecting their next stadium site. Yeah.
That's the other thing, is people are just tired of hearing about it, and that's not really, I don't think it's really the Royals' fault, But it feels like it's been the only thing around the Royals that we've actually spent time talking about other than some upsetting baseball for a long time now. And it's not making the team better right now, so most fans don't want to hear about it right now.
Well, let me just say, somebody that used to work in the media in Sam Mellinger, he could have given me a little heads up of, hey, what you were planning on talking about in the first hour, whatever work you're putting in, like you and Josh and Dylan may be going through and spending a lot of time in coming up with your individual like AFC team rankings after a couple of weeks to see where the contenders are, what we think of these different teams, and to really move them around so that we feel good and have reasons behind each spot that we have these teams in. Just in case you were planning on that, Jason, here's what's going to come out at 10:01, but I want you to embargo this, okay? You cannot say anything. Do not ruin the trust here.
Sam could have trusted us.
Yeah.
This show doesn't even start till like 10:05. The statement was out.
I mean, seriously, he could have done that just fine. And really, I'm just disappointed. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm hurt is what I am. So no sight.
The messed up thing is just that we were going to talk about Juwan Taylor's false start problems, and instead we're talking about the Royals' false starts.
Well, this is more of a delay a game that they're having. This is
true.
more Eli Drinkwitz.
That's also true.
It's more moving it back and back and back and back. They're delaying.
It kind of feels like we're all getting held, too.
And this whole time they thought they had a timeout.
How could you feel better about any of this at any point, man?
I don't know.
It's wild. Really strange.
It's weird because when you said the Royals have a scheduled tweet, and then I went to my email and saw that at 10:01 the email comes in from the Royals, from Sam and Nick, with the statement on the fact that, hey, before anybody asks over the next 10 days, we won't have an answer for you. So just don't ask, okay? So we're not going to have one, so don't think about it. Preemptive strike here. When you said there was a scheduled tweet, I thought it was about the Royals hiring a new scouting director in Brian Bridges.
No, that was also a thing.
Because I was like, okay, I do have a Royal. Like I said, we'll talk some Royals today at some point because the Royals have hired a new scouting director in Brian Bridges, who was with Atlanta for 4 years. Well, with Atlanta for a while, but was the scouting director in Atlanta from 2015 to 2018. Drafted Mike Soroka, Austin Riley, A.J. Mentor, Drew Waters, a few others as well. And then he was fired before the Major League Baseball draft of 2019 by Anthopoulos, the GM of the Braves. And he's been with the Giants the last number of years. So the Royals hire him as their scouting director, which means they have gone from 2021 Lonnie Goldberg, 22 and 23 Danny Ontiveros, to 24 until whenever Brian Bridges. This will be the third scouting director in 4 years. So 21, 22, 23, and 24. 4 drafts. They will have 3 different scouting directors running those drafts. Now, this seems to be universally liked. I am not going to pretend that I know a lot about Brian Bridges, and I'm going to sit up here and go, wow, what a great hire. I trust people around baseball that have studied these things. And Keith Law, great hire. Randy Gisarelli, hell yeah. David Lesky, awesome. A couple of others, like, wow, this is a coup for the Royals to land him. Again, I couldn't begin to tell you the particulars about Brian Bridges. I know that is liked around baseball, which means that for the hiring, it seems like a good hire. Doesn't mean it's going to work out. Again, the example I'll use time and time again. Shaka Smart was a great hire. Didn't work out. But, man, it was universally loved and applauded that Texas was the school and the program that finally got Shaka Smart to bite, to take the next step and leave VCU. Didn't work out. This seems to be Matt Quattrero. I was a huge fan of his. That's who I wanted the Royals to go and hire. And we'll see as the years progress of what Matt Quattrero looks like as a manager. Certainly, I wouldn't fire him after year one. And I think it's another element of JJ being different than Dayton, because Danny Ontiveros has been with the Royals organization for 17 years. I don't think Dayton names a guy scouting director, and then 2 years later replaces him, somebody that's been with the organization for almost 2 decades. I just don't feel like that would have been a Dayton move. To me, this is okay, Gene Watson is heading to the White Sox. The White Sox are building their front office in former Royals, because if there's an organization you look at over the last 30, 40 years that you want to mimic, it is definitely the Royals.
That's a bold strategy.
Glad the White Sox are doing that, whatever. So Gene Watson heads there. So now this is a readjusting of the scouting department. When you have your a vice president of scouting and assistant GM go to the White Sox, and you've got your scouting director the last couple of years, and Danny Ontiveros, who is now out, and they hire somebody else in Brian Bridges to take over that spot. We thought the offseason would be where there's going to be a lot of shuffling, because J.J. Piccolo had said, hey, we sat down last offseason, we put plans in place and figured out a lot of different things that we needed, and there were some questions about ways of going about it. This year was also a year on the field of figuring things out. This was a year to learn some things. But then he said this offseason is when they put ink to paper, rubber meets the road, plan into action in some of the moves that will be made. And there's still, 10 games left to be played. And they are already making a move with scouting director. And we'll see if anything else happens in the offseason with stuff in the minor leagues or other, org charts in what positions people will take over.
I'm going to give you first the take I don't actually believe to set it up, because I'm afraid that there are probably beleaguered Royals fans right now who are thinking this way, which is, okay, great. So is this just refresh for the JJ administration? Is this just, hey, all right, now it went poorly, so now JJ Piccolo gets one more year to rearrange all the deck chairs and figure out if this ship's still sinking? Because that's sometimes, especially in football, that is how it feels, right? You have your head coach on his last legs hire a new offensive coordinator to try to spice things up and save his job. To think that way about this for the Royals would, as you just laid out, would forego the necessary context of the people that this organization has had within it over the entirety of the Dayton Moore era, the way that those moves were and weren't made throughout that Dayton Moore era. And I understand you could fairly say, why would you give JJ the power and then have him need to wait through another year of evaluation before you make more front office choices? But ultimately, in this year that is all about evaluation, that is about figuring out the vision going forward, to me, this is at least a good sign of a good thing between John Sherman and J.J. Piccolo, where there is still, and we thought this was the case when they made J.J. the new man in charge, because that hierarchy was so confused before then. When Dayton Moore left, there had to be some understanding that J.J. Piccolo was going to do things differently. John Sherman didn't benefit at all from having a Dayton Moore clone take over when the people around here were tired of Dayton Moore. This, to me, just feels more and more like the long-term tinkering and a little adjustments in the front office that come not all in one foul swoop. And it doesn't have to. You don't have to rush all those hires if you do have some people in place. The complete unanimous positivity that comes out of this from people who, like you said, know better about baseball front offices than I do, that reaction is incredibly exciting. And I hope that Royals fans aren't seeing everything through such not rose-colored glasses, but just dark, dark shades. I hope it's not all tainted that way where you couldn't appreciate it. This seems like a really nice hire. We'll see if it ends up in nice results. That's still a different process.
We'll find out. So the Royals are to be continued on the stadium site selection. It won't be by the end of September. And they probably should have just sent out that press release Sunday at 3:25.
Seriously.
Nobody would have cared.
That's a great point.
Sunday at 3:25. Hey, just as a heads up, we're not going to be able to pick a site. Cool. Chiefs are kicking. Okay. Bears are receiving. Okay. Good to know. Thanks.
And if you missed the entire statement reading, there is no secondary soft deadline.
Right.
It's just vote in April 2024.
It's just, we don't have a site yet. It has been great working with people so far.
We're really happy about how all this has gone.
We know the responsibility of what we have to get done to make sure we have all of our T's crossed and I's dotted for you, the citizens, to figure out if you're going to vote for or what you're going to vote for, whatever it is, or the contract and the agreement with the Chiefs. We understand the responsibility there, and we still plan on April. But we just don't know what site will be on the ballot in April. Not sure yet.
The Royals put out a press release that said, hey, we'll get that to you later.
Text came in and said, Royals press release. I'm just here so I don't get fined. It's about right. We'll take a timeout. We will come back. We'll continue rolling, and we'll get into some Chiefs. We'll get into talking about the AFC. I do want to look at some of the teams around the AFC and adjustments to maybe what we thought going into the year of rankings and contenders. You know, we were talking about whether or not we were going to rank just 1 through contenders in the AFC or just 1 through 5. We'll tell you what we decided and our reasoning behind how we came up with teams and maybe teams falling out of what would have been a shock in the first couple of weeks. We'll get into those things. And then Cynthia Freeland at 11 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and others. And then Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WA.
All right, so some NFL news in Cleveland. We know on Monday night with Nick Chubb suffering the knee injury that cost him the rest of the season, that Kevin Stefanski said they are going with Ford the rest of the way. He's their starting running back, but they would look into some depth. Yesterday, Kareem Hunt visited the Browns. Today, announced by Ian Rappaport that Kareem Hunt has signed a one-year deal with Cleveland. He is back in Cleveland, is Kareem Hunt. So we'll see if Kareem Hunt takes over the starting role for the Cleveland Browns or if it is Ford the rest of the way. And Kareem Hunt is that secondary back like he was with Nick Chubb. We'll find out. Let's get into what we planned on starting the show with before Sam Mellinger just destroyed the first hour. But I want to go through, and we'll probably spend the last couple of segments doing this. I want to go through and look at the top five in the AFC and how much it's sort of changed maybe in our minds and certainly in my mind of where we're ranking some of these teams. Because I would have had Chiefs number 1, Bengals number 2, and then Bills number 3. That would have definitely been my top 3. My top 3 is not the same. I don't want to overreact to wins and losses specifically, but some of it certainly matters.
I'm gonna.
That's perfectly fine,
You
too.
can't stop me from overreacting.
I don't want to stop you. Why would I? I'm not getting in front of that train. No way. Let's just start with number 1. This is maybe outside of Kansas City would be you're a homer. Perfectly fine. I don't care.
I don't think that you're going to hear a lot of that.
Yeah. I'm going KC number 1. Still, thought the Chiefs were number 1 entering the season. They are a Chris Jones or Travis Kelce or a caught pass away from being 2-0 and saying, while they haven't looked great, they beat a team that is a sexy pick to win the NFC, and they went on the road and beat a playoff team and held that offense to 9 points. That would be the conversation around the Chiefs if they caught a pass or two, or if Chris Jones or Travis Kelce played in that game. That's my belief, and they still had a chance to win. Chiefs still number 1. Josh?
Chiefs still number 1 for me also. Okay. I don't think it's homerific. I think that logic is all absolutely true. And really, the biggest development should be, oh man, this defense looks legit. I think the offense with a increasingly healthy, hopefully, Travis Kelce over time, Patrick Mahomes getting used to his pass catchers, used to that O-line. I'm just not worried about the offense being a top 5 unit. I'm still just completely confident that happens. The defense looking that good. I've still got the Chiefs at number 1.
Dylan?
Are we alone, Dylan?
No. I will also take the Chiefs number 1, and it is not homerism. I just think when you have the best player in the sport, you always sit atop.
Yeah. Tiebreaker, really, with that.
Yep.
This is where I think it might get interesting, or maybe it won't. Maybe we'll think it gets interesting, and we're all along the same wavelength. Josh, we'll start with you. Who's your number 2 team?
My number 2 team in the AFC right now.
Tennessee.
The Miami Dolphins. They have a spice to them, man. I have seen some big-time throws from Tua that I wasn't sure was going to show up from him. The pass catchers, that offense altogether, the skill set, the speed, Mike McDaniel calling the whole thing, and a defense that is all right. It's going to get better as the year goes on. They get Jalen Ramsey back and everything. I look at the Dolphins right now as a team I would be afraid of coming to Arrowhead in an AFC championship game. And I'm not sure how many of the rest of these teams actually meet that mark for me.
Dylan?
I actually agree with him. I have the Dolphins at 2 as well. And a lot of the same reasons. Also, Tua seems to be on a little bit of a revenge tour as well. He seems to have a spiciness, like Josh said to him. He had the 400 yards comment after the first week, and obviously the Ryan Clark stuff. So I like them, and they are scary as far as just covering Tyreek Hill alone is scary. So, yeah, I'll go Dolphins too.
Like I said, it's going to get pretty interesting from here on out. I went Miami second as well.
Wow. What did we miss?
You guys hit on the reasoning. They won in a lower scoring game in New England, and they won a shootout in LA. So they showed in the first couple of weeks that they can win a couple different ways, that defense has to step up and play well, and they did. And that defense held New England to 3 points throughout most of that game, and New England hasn't looked great. so far this year, and they've had awful starts and awful first halves because they were trailing Philadelphia before second half turning it on, and they were trailing Miami 17-3 before turning it on and eventually losing 24-17. So they did that, but I would also throw in there that they could be 1-1. Mm-hmm. They trailed the entire fourth quarter against the Chargers until 2 minutes left when they were down by 4, and they got the touchdown on 3rd and goal to Tyreek Hill, and they took the lead. Then they missed the extra point, so a field goal, could have beat them. They could be 1-1. They're not, though.
Right.
The Chiefs could be 2-0. They're not, though. They're 1-1. That's where I'm not overreacting at the top between 1 and 2 of the record, because I'm staying with the Chiefs number 1 and Miami number 2. Because a play here or there with Miami, they're 1-1. A play here or there with the Chiefs, they're 2-0. And as the weeks go on and more data points come in, and week 3's data point will give us 50% more of information, going from 2 data points to 3 data points. These things could change. Chiefs, lose to the Bears. Well, then there's some shuffling in the power rankings here. Number 3, we start with you, Dylan.
I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think that the Ravens look really good in both of their games. I think that Lamar looks great. I like not Trey Flowers. Wow. Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, yeah.
Zay Flowers is awesome to watch. I think they get OBJ back at some point, too, and their defense actually looks pretty solid this year.
God, I hate seeing Zay Flowers in a Ravens uniform. Damn,
me too.
God, it's just everything that people were hoping Sky Moore could be, and I know that it's like, well, they're not the same. Nobody thought Sky Moore was going to be Zay Flowers. Well, when Sky Moore came out and Zay Flowers was a senior at Boston College, and people weren't talking about Zay Flowers being a first-round pick at Boston College, people thought Sky Moore could do some of the things that Zay Flowers is doing, but Zay Flowers just looks different on the field. And of those 4 first-round wide receivers, the ranking of the first 4 of those 4 first-round wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, JSN, and then a gap, and then another leap, and then a driver on the golf course, and then Quentin Johnston.
I actually said before the draft that Rashee Rice is what people think Quentin Johnston was what they were saying he was basically all draft process.
I may be wrong in 3 or 4 years, but I was on record the entire draft process of I wouldn't touch Quentin Johnston with a 10-foot pole. I don't want him in a Chiefs uniform, and I'd be pretty pissed if the Chiefs had to spend extra draft capital to trade up and get him.
Have you seen the Big 12 wide receiver stat? I didn't know if that's what influenced you, but if you look up Big 12 wide receivers and their production in the NFL, like Jalen Reagor, now Quentin Johnston, I think the Hollywood Brown's like the best one, and CeeDee Lamb, I guess, but all from the same school.
That's interesting. What I doubted about Quentin Johnston was I believe in sharp route running, and it's one of the reasons why I loved Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. And if you are going to be a bigger-bodied guy, one of the things I loved about Rashee Rice that we talked about going into the draft, so them drafting Rashee Rice was not a surprise to me. He was one of the guys in the second round that I would have liked to see the Chiefs draft. His ability to go up and make plays. Quentin Johnston is a big-bodied guy, but he's a body catcher. He's not a sharp route runner, and he's a body catcher. He's got traits you can't teach, but it doesn't look as natural playing the position as some other players look.
Have we comped Quentin Johnston and Justin Ross yet? I don't think we have, but I'm thinking about it now, and the Chiefs got a lot of similar traits and similar issues in an undrafted free agent with injury history, as opposed to trading up for Johnston.
I like Justin Ross's ability to go up and make a play on the ball because he can catch it with his hands.
Yeah.
And Quentin Johnston is big, but he'll go up and get it, but it's more of a body catcher. The route running certainly can be more polished with Justin Ross, and Quentin Johnston can learn how to do it. Yeah. Certainly. But all that to say, I've got Baltimore number 3
really?
as well. The easy win against Houston, and going to Cincinnati and winning that game, especially a Cincinnati team that just lost to Cleveland. They were embarrassed. They felt like we've got to win this game. So they were probably the more desperate of the two teams to go and get that win. And, I mean, again, it's a play here or there. Joe Burrow on second down throwing the interception in the end zone, and that being returned to the 50-yard line, and a short field for Baltimore to then score a touchdown. It's a 14-point swing. I mean, the Bengals take the lead if they score a touchdown on that drive. And instead, now they're down by double digits, down by 2 scores. Lamar struggled against Houston. He didn't look all that great, but he was good against Cincinnati. And he's completing 75% of his passes. He doesn't look as quick and as spry as he did early in his career, so the running isn't as much of a threat, but it's always going to be there. And it's only game number 2 in the new offense. So I've got Baltimore number 3. Josh?
Baltimore.
Same reasons?
None of us talked about this ahead of
No.
time. We all 3 came in with our separate 3 lists. I have mine written down on a Google Doc. It's a lot of those same reasons.
Typed on can you write it on a Google Doc?
I might type that laptop's like a little touch screen. I could probably. I typed it. It's been typed. I'm sorry.
I've got a stylus, so it's like I'm writing.
It's really basically like it's the same thing.
Cool.
I think it's the stuff you guys have laid out. One thing I'll add. Here's a real fun sentence for me to say.
Okay.
Part of the reason I have the Ravens at number 3 in the AFC is because of Nelson Aguilar. We should move on to the next one, right? Not actually because of Nelson Aguilar himself, but did you know he was the leading receiver by a yard over Zay Flowers in that game against Cincinnati? Why on earth do I care about Nelson Aguilar? Well, because Odell Beckham leaves with an injury. Rashad Bateman has not been that guy. Mark Andrews is no longer your only option. Zay Flowers is a guy in his second game who doesn't have to take the full workload. This is an offense that actually has weapons to where Nelson Aguilar is fittingly option 4, 5, or 6, depending on the day. That he would have been the second best receiver on any Ravens offense in Lamar Jackson's career there. I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I just said it, and it sounded true. So I think there is a depth to this offense, both schematically and personnel-wise now, that I really, really buy into.
And there's a trust there with Lamar because a couple of big third downs went to Aguilar, who caught the ball, and then that touchdown that ultimately gave him the win at the end was to Aguilar over, by the way, their best cover man, Awuzie. So it's not like he was working on the 3rd or 4th or 5th guy. He was working in the slot on Awuzie, who's, a guy that we're talking about that last year of his contract, do the Bengals want to pay the money to keep Awuzie around? Well, that's who he beat. And it was a great throw by Lamar. So, yeah, I've got Baltimore number 3, and I kind of went back and forth with Miami and Baltimore, but I leaned Miami because they've got the better wins. 2 wins on the road against the Chargers and New England, whereas Baltimore's 2-0 with an easier win against Houston. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get into 4 and 5. We'll see if we are exactly right and the same. We're exactly the same on 4 and 5. It's weird. I didn't think we'd be the same on 1, 2, 3, but
Me neither.
we'll find out. We'll do that coming up next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland at 11 o'clock. Let's get into number 4 and number 5 here. We all had Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, 1, 2, 3. Number 4 comes back around to me. I've got the Bills. Number 4, they're sitting 1-1. The loss to the Jets is inexcusable, and we see that Josh Allen can still lose you a game, but they are a really talented roster. So number 4 for me, the Bills. Josh?
Week 1 was a reminder of how bad things can be. Week 2 was a reminder of how good Josh Allen can look when he knows what he's doing and his head's screwed on straight. I also have Buffalo at 4 for reasons that are partially about the team that I have at 5 as well, but I think the Bills are still legit dangerous, but they needed to step behind the Dolphins and Ravens in line after these first 2 weeks.
Dylan?
And I will put this disclaimer again in front of this that we did not meet before the show. We did not talk before the show, especially about this list.
We didn't talk about this list at all. We just said come up with your list.
I got Bills too.
Bills, number 4 for you. Josh, we start with you at number 5.
I've got the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals because Joe Burrow is still their quarterback. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are still their wide receivers. Lou Anarumo, last I checked, is still their defensive coordinator.
He is, unfortunately.
I think 2 bad early losses aren't completely disqualifying, but it's not great.
Great minds think alike.
Unreal.
Bengals.
5 for 5, Jason?
Yes!
Get out of town.
I've got the Chargers. We did not go 5 for 5.
You don't
No,
have
I swear to God, I got the Chargers.
You have the
number
Chargers
5.
at 5?
I got the Chargers at 5.
Whoa!
I have them at 9. So
Wow, that's
Whoa!
interesting.
I had them at 7.
The reason I have the Chargers at 5 and not at 6 is because of Joe Burrow's injury. That's it.
Yeah, totally.
I would have had the Bengals at number 5, but the Chargers do some charging things.
Yes.
They led both games with under 3 minutes to go. You're talking about a play here or there of Chargers. If the Chargers were 2-0, would it be a surprise if they were number 5?
No.
They're still a talented roster.
That's right.
Brandon Staley may be fired and it may all fall apart. And as the weeks go on, I can move the Chargers out of the top 5. But I went back and forth and I'm like, I don't trust the Burrow injury. I'll go with a talented roster and a healthy quarterback.
I'm here at the ballpark with Brad McGee from LBA Home Services. Brad, you look annoyed.
you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let's talk with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us here in the zone on this Wednesday edition of the show. I wish it was a Thursday edition. There'd be some football tonight, but there's not. One more day to get ready for that. But we talk some Chiefs on this Wednesday. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see who else is at the podium coming up later on this hour. Cynthia here on a Wednesday. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm great, and that intro never gets old. I really appreciate that. It makes me so happy.
It will not. In 10
Gordy
years.
likes that he's included.
Yes. 10 years from now, as we continue our conversation, Cynthia, that will be the open that we have for you.
Hey, great. It'll still make me really excited every single time. It will never get old. I don't think you understand. It will never get old.
If I need to ever edit it to get some more new dogs barks in there, I can do that. That's the one update I will do.
Oh, perfect. Because, we're still unsure. We're still a little unsure, because we have to. Our play date got a little canceled because the foster mom had COVID, so I needed to go. I needed to stay away for one more week.
Oh, that's too bad. Do we have an update on Brisco?
Yeah.
Brisco?
No Brisco update. We've installed more ramps in our house now for Scout because of her little back injury, and I'm still not sure we're dachshund ready yet, but Brisco's still kicking in the foster family, it seems, right now.
Okay.
I've not gotten further.
By the way, Scout is so cute. Scout is so cute. And you sent me a picture with a little lobster on Scout's head. It's so cute.
Cynthia, you will be now the one and only national NFL analyst who my wife has any opinion on, and now you're her favorite. I'll cut that. I'll send that over to her. And if we can ever do anything for you in return, you just let us know.
I mean, all I need is, a good, like they can be pen pals. You know what I mean? Like Scout
Paw
and Gordy,
pals.
pen pals.
Yeah,
They can be paw pals.
Paw pals.
Oh, man.
They can go on Paw Patrol.
This is perfect. This is fantastic.
It's interesting that I've known Josh for over 4 years now, and I've never seen a picture of his dog.
Whoa, hold on. You haven't asked.
I have not seen Scout.
Prepare your text thread, Jason. You're about to get 500.
Be careful.
I didn't say I asked for it, Josh. I just said I haven't seen one. That's all. I don't know what Scout looks like. I assume he's very cute.
She is adorable.
I assume she is very. You know what? On September 20th, Cynthia, 11:04, I found out the sex of his dog.
It was a gender
she.
reveal for Scout.
Gender reveal for me. That's right. Oh wow, it's pink. Awesome.
Here's the picture of Scout that Cynthia.
Oh, precious.
Look at that precious little baby.
Precious.
She's like a Build-A-Bear came to life.
Oh, precious.
What a dog.
She is so adorable. My goodness.
Star of the show.
That's right. Cynthia, it was a win. It wasn't pretty at times. It was less than adorable at times for the Chiefs, but they got the win. They went down to Jacksonville. They win 17-9. We talked with you last week about, that game against the Lions. So now there's another week of data and assessment of this Chiefs team. So 2 weeks in, what are you seeing from this Chiefs team?
Well, obviously things are always better with Travis Kelce on the field. I mean, you're going to have like a first ballot Hall of Famer or not. It's going to be better. But I will say the one thing that maybe this Jags defense doesn't get enough credit for is how they really use like 4 or 5 different defensive concepts, but like evenly, right? Like if you look at the breakdown and the poor quality control guys, right? Like you'll look after the game, it'll be like 20% quarters, 20, like they will not show a tendency that's very like the Bills, for example, they have some like, okay, if we see, 11 personnel, they'll be in whatever, right? Like it's not like that. Like they mix up the defensive backs like very, very evenly, but also that it's sometimes like that can make it hard for a quarterback, especially not Patrick Mahomes necessarily, but especially when he's trying to get adjusted to, you just get Travis Kelce back and you have some pass catchers that week one, the connection wasn't great with. So that's something where like, so if you saw something, you're like, wow, we should have scored 35 points or whatever, just give a little credit where credit's due. And that's to the coverages that were being faced. And it takes a while for the receivers to kind of get used to that.
The Andy Reid on Monday talked about Travis Kelce because we were sort of wondering what maybe is going on with Kelce because he threw a couple punches in training camp, seemed to be on edge. He picked up a couple of personal fouls and in the game against the Jags, he looked like he was always ready to fight. He punted the football, to maybe just let a little anger out or whatever. And Andy Reid said Travis is fighting Travis right now. That's what he's doing. And he also said that maybe part of the frustration was that he was getting butched, which is what they call it when he's just getting hit and pushed off the line of scrimmage. That was the Jags' game plan with Travis, was just simply to make life annoying for him of no clean exits from the line of scrimmage. And that's one of the reasons why. And the Jags were just simply getting under his skin.
Well, you haven't had look, when you're the Chiefs, you get to be the biggest, the biggest fish in all of the pond, right? So the problem is of course they're going to try to make Travis Kelce's life miserable. It's a strategy. I'm not saying it's a great strategy, but it's a strategy for a team who's outmatched physically, and we see it all the time. Watch off-ball plays of Devontae Adams, who's really just the only true every down threat for the Raiders. And this isn't a great team, the Raiders, right? But Devontae Adams is great, and he gets that respect. It is absolutely the same. You just notice it a little bit more when you are the biggest fish in the pond, right? Because of course, you watch Travis Kelce and your eye goes there because Patrick Mahomes' eyes go there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So, and it's just he ends up with the football so often, does Travis, because of that trust that's there. And even when he's not the designed play, it's those guys just working in concert and having ESP that Mahomes is rolling to his right and Travis goes, oh, well, I'm going to run back the other way to find the opening and get the touchdown. And even as, Travis starts to run, Mahomes throws it to where the empty space is going to be. It wasn't as wide open when Mahomes threw the ball, and Kelce wasn't near where he ended up when Mahomes threw the ball. It's just that Mahomes knew he was going there, and Kelce sort of floated that way to go against the grain because everybody was in flow following Patrick. And just that, that working together, that relationship that's there, which is one of the things, Cynthia, I've talked about a lot with Travis Kelce, in that, Dalton Kincaid might be really good, and he's being used a lot because 12 personnel the Bills are using more than anybody in the NFL this year so far through 2 weeks. There are some good tight ends in the NFL. The comparisons that come out with, okay, is this guy the next Kelce? Is this guy Kelce? It can be maybe the route running, maybe the shiftiness, maybe the ability after the catch can be there. But what separates, in my mind, Kelce from even others that have certain skill sets is that the adjustment on the fly in the middle of the play, that if there are whether option routes or just knowing where to go, over the safety, under the linebacker, breaking it off to the left. And Kelce has said that, the routes, Cynthia, on the Chiefs, offense, they aren't lines on a piece of paper, which, as you know, there's so much adjustment. And to me, that's what makes Kelce as special as, any tight end we've ever seen. It's you combine all of the different athleticism to then what's between the ears, and then he and Patrick sort of thinking the same while he's running and Patrick is seeing the route develop.
Absolutely. Look, the difference is so, it's funny because, channel back to about 10 years ago, this is actually not that dissimilar to the way Tom Brady and Gronk played. The difference being that, in my opinion, and the math backs it up, that Kelce's a better tight end than Gronk. But, it's one of those things where the middle of the middle, sort of close, so maybe 11 yards and in, there's not a lot you can do to defend that. There's just not. So what you need to choose as a defense is what you're going to do to limit the impact of that after the catch. And even the Patriots, who are very familiar with that, they have a hard time defending things like that as well. So it's very special, and it shows why, each one is a first ballot Hall of Famer now before they even retire.
Is it, I don't know that teams have done this necessarily against Patrick Mahomes. Well, you know what? I checked that. The Bengals did it a couple times against Mahomes, especially in the AFC Championship game that they lost. But should it be a strategy maybe employed more, maybe not the three-down lineman and dropping 8 like the Bengals did in that second half against the Chiefs, but could it be more of a strategy that, we're going to rush Patrick Mahomes maybe as if he's more of a running quarterback, like if we were rushing Lamar Jackson or a Michael Vick or something like that, to where it's sort of like keep your lane containment and integrity there? Because the Chiefs' longest play of the game was a broken play that Mahomes had to get outside the pocket on third down to Sky Moore for 50-plus yards. And one of the 2 touchdowns was Mahomes, a broken play, getting outside the pocket and finding Travis Kelce when things really weren't there. A lot of the plays so far, Cynthia, that we've watched in the first couple of weeks, when Mahomes has had time in the pockets just sort of to sit there and survey, it hasn't looked as smooth as you would expect, where, wow, Mahomes isn't being touched and he's got all the time in the world. It hasn't been a 5-step drop, hit the back of your foot, step up in the pocket, boom, find the receiver, move the chains. It hasn't really been that. It's been choppier like that. Would it be smart for a defense to try to deploy maybe for a half or something, that we're not going to drop 8 and bring only 3, but maybe bring 4, but we're not going to try to speed him up and allow lanes to where he can get outside the pocket, and now we're really at the mercy of Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is that would be nice in like a ideal world. The problem is like the way personnel is set up now, there aren't very many teams that can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so you have to the factor is like, sure. I mean, look, let's be honest. The Bears are not going to be one where we're going to learn a whole lot about where the deficiencies. It's very unlikely that this Bears defense is going to bring any sort of pressure like that or think it through. Like, I'm curious to see if they do just like drop into coverage or how they're trying to defend this. But if you have the personnel, like Cincinnati last year, they could be a little bit more versatile up front. Cincinnati this year looks a little bit different, but when you have 2 good safeties like that and you have Logan Wilson being able to be super versatile, it's a little bit different, right? But most teams actually don't have that capability. And a lot of that is because there's not like off-ball linebackers and kind of multi-purpose tools like that. Just there aren't very many of them anymore.
Yeah, interesting. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. I want to talk about the defense for the Chiefs so far this year in these first couple of weeks, because a lot of the conversation around Steve Spagnuolo in the 4 years that he's been the defensive coordinator has been, as the year progresses, they get better and better. This is the quickest that they've looked this good under Steve Spagnuolo, and there's a lot of continuity. A lot of the players in the secondary have returned. A good portion of the guys at defensive line, linebackers, they add in Drew Tranquil, but same guys as a year ago. How much, is there, I've asked a couple of people this week, so I'm just sort of curious from your mind, how much is there that, continuity that the Chiefs over the last few years have been drafting and building and spending resources on that defensive side of the football, that, Spagnuolo has a number of guys that have been around for a couple of years, and he's not having to layer in the defensive scheme for this team. He's teaching it to a backup safety in Mike Edwards, the coverage linebacker in Drew Tranquil, and a rookie in FAU who's there just to simply rush the passer. How much is there? It's this early, looking this good, because he can go to like step 7 or 8 already this early, as opposed to step 1, 2, and 3 to build on it throughout the year.
Well, number one, it's in part, like, I will say, this is going to sound a little strange, but things look better when you're playing the Jags O-line that's missing some key pieces.
True.
Right? That's very smart. And then, by the way, bringing in Drew Tranquil, who's very familiar. I mean, Drew Tranquil, I hosted this chess.com event this past summer, and Drew Tranquil won it because he's very, very smart. So, literally when you're talking about guys playing checkers versus chess, Drew Tranquil is a chess champ. So there you have that. He's a smart guy. So you're not dealing with – they're doing a good job of bringing in guys who – and he played for the Chargers, so it's not like he was unfamiliar with kind of the strategies of the AFC West, right? So you're able to now – it's better when the good players are not leaving, right? it's better when Chris Jones is there. It's better when you have a second-year corner as opposed to a rookie corner. It's better when one of your major pass rushers and George Karlaftis is now in his second season, and Nick Bolton's keeping his development going very strongly as well. Like this, it's always going to be easier if you have guys who know what they're doing, right? Install when you have a bunch of new guys is totally different than when you have a bunch of guys who've been there. So yeah, that's great, but also like, you know, it's nice to be able to incorporate some of these principles in with teams who, you know, the Lions were missing a few of their key offensive pieces, meaning, you know, Jameson Williams wasn't playing. We knew about Amon-Ra St. Brown already, so it was a little like they have a good O-line, but you know, they were missing some other pieces. And then when you're looking at the Jags, Cam Robinson being out, your left tackle being out is like a massive deal, like truly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, and then now you get the Bears, whose O-line is like, I feel bad for Justin Fields. Like that stinks to stand behind something that's so. They've been super injured and they weren't even awesome to begin with. So like it's nice to be able to like you know, you install the defense and then you. Instead of having to face, you know, all of the best offenses right away, you get a chance to sort of like, you know, tiptoe into it a little bit, and maybe that helps with the game speed as well.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting part of that, you know, and a couple of other things I want to talk about with the defense and what you touched on there. But it's so fascinating that you brought up Drew Tranquill and being the chess champion, because in training camp, one of the fun stories was Justin Reed, who considers himself a really good chess player, talked about, you know, building chemistry and things like that and things that they do in their spare time. And he talked about playing Drew Tranquill in chess, that he's like, you know, Drew was, you know, talking about how great of a chess player he is. So it's like, all right, let's do it. And Justin Reed lost. But it's funny. He
Drew's
said,
a really good chess player.
Yeah, and Justin Reed said, you know, I came out a little aggressive at the beginning, and he countered, and then he just sort of held off and was just played, you know, mistake-free chess the rest of the way. And so he's like, I want a rematch against him so I can change up my strategy a little bit, because apparently Justin Reed came out like,
I'm not giving him that rematch.
Right, no, right? Apparently Justin Reed was like, I'm just going to bully this guy real quick, just out of the gates. And Drew Tranquill was like, dude, I'm a chess champion. What are you doing? Counter? And now I'm just going to park the bus, man. Just play mistake-free chess, and you're going to eventually, you know, die on the vine. Sorry, dude. You know? So it's funny to talk about the chess part of it.
Do you want to know who he beat in the final? So it was like it was like a 10-minute each side, so it goes pretty fast. So Kyler Murray, I think, was his first opponent. Smoked him. Kyler Murray is probably new to chess. Let's put it that way.
Well, he practices on video games, the chess.
He was literally like a gamer chair. It was amazing. Awesome. Then we had I guess maybe Larry Fitzgerald was second, and then he met up with the reigning champ, Chidobe Awuzie, you know, corner from the Bengals. He was the Season 1 champ for the Blitz champs. Drew Tranquill didn't play Season 1, just so you know. Smoked him. It was Drew's good. Drew's a good chess player. I'm telling you, he's like a chess master Drew. You know.
That's funny. And you know what? Steve Spagnuolo has different pieces on the board that he can use in ways that, you know, he hasn't really had with the Chiefs in years past. So I loved the Drew Tranquill signing, which, you know, sort of fell into their lap. And you know, Brett Veach talked about that they didn't go out in the offseason to sign Drew Tranquill. That sort of they approached the Chiefs of like, hey, what do you think about my client Drew Tranquill? And the Chiefs were like, well, we think we like him, you know, but
sometimes the rook takes the queen, you know. Sometimes it happens.
Love that. Sometimes you double jump in checkers, you know, and king me, you know, and then you can go anywhere you want. So, visiting with Cynthia Freeland, this Chiefs defense has looked really good against the Lions and against the Jags, and those Jags offenses, or those two offenses in the other games that they played, Lions against the Seahawks and Jags against the Colts. They've scored, you know, 60 points in those two games, and they've scored, you know, 29 against the or 30 against the Chiefs in those two games. So I'm curious, like defensive performance early in a season, how much from an analytics part can you weigh in what you're seeing, and how much goes into some of the analytics and the advanced stats of what was an expected level of offensive performance from those teams? So like, you know, the Jags and the Lions, what you expect them to be at. Here's how the Chiefs played. Well, we're still filtering throughout the season to get really the true indication of everything that's happened only this year.
because everything's relative, right? Like, you play the Cowboys, you look weird. You play the Cardinals, you look a lot better in the second half. That's the Giants season, right? So the truth is there's always a little bit of relative value to everything. I think that part of what you're seeing, I mean, the Lions got really hurt against the Seahawks. I mean, they lost two of their key pieces in David Montgomery and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Like, obviously, that had a really big impact in the outcome of the game. And Jared Goff finally threw an interception, which he had the second longest streak behind, only Tom Brady. So it was an interesting, you're seeing that. I think that the more impactful part is the first downs, because usually first downs and touchdowns given up in the beginning of the season for a Spags defense is more, it's like bend, don't break still, right? And that's kind of what happens, but that's not what you're seeing in this. You're getting an increased level of, 3 and outs or, 2 and outs with some sort of takeaway, something like that, right? So I think that's a more indicative stat than necessarily how many points these teams are putting on other people, because there's always context that's a little crazy. And also the Lions are playing without their left tackle against the Seahawks, for example. So, the context does matter, but I will say that the fact that the fourth quarter Chris Johnson stuff looked the same, that's some good stuff, meaning more pressures in the end of the game than in the beginning. That's where I'm seeing real, and the pressure from the team pressures in the fourth quarter when things matter more, that stuff's going up. So that's a great sign.
I know what you meant, but just so people listening, you meant Chris Jones.
Sorry. No, yes, Chris Jones. Sorry, I'm losing my mind.
No, it's all good. I knew what you meant, but you know what? I think Chris Jones, could he rush for 4,000 or 2,000 yards in a season? Could Chris Jones do that? I don't know. I'm not going to. I'm not going to put it against. You know what?
He could.
I want to see him carry the ball once this year in the backfield.
I want to see him. I want to see him at least one rushing touchdown.
Right? I mean, in a Chiefs uniform. Come on. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland.
It's funny when you say the wrong thing, you don't even realize it. Like you're just talking about the same thing. Like, I'm like, I didn't even know didn't say Chris Jones. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, that every day, 3 or 4 times a day. There'll be a text of something.
Seriously.
I'm like, did I say the other thing? Like, oh, weird. I'm sorry. I didn't know I
it's
said
wild
that.
because, I do all my stats blindly because I like certain teams more than others, but I want to not bias my information. So they're named after, just ridiculous things that I have no feelings on. Like, sometimes it'll be like colors or whatever, where I don't have any, they're not. It's all randomly generated from a random generator account, whatever. So it's just funny because and then sometimes I'll be like, oh, orange absolutely has to be Patrick Mahomes, and it won't be, and I'll be like, what? So
interesting.
Words are not.
No, that's great. I love it. It's an interesting way to do it too. So I mean, I'm always curious as just what like an algorithm or numbers before a season of what you expect this team to be, and when that filters out. 6-7 years ago, talked with Ken Pomeroy of KenPom.com and college basketball, and he said, college basketball starts in November, but he said early to mid-January is when his numbers are just specifically that year only. That all of the expected level of play and recruits, and he's got to build the algorithm at the beginning to come up with the power rankings anyway. But mid-January or so is when it's just that year. So I'm just curious, as when we look at the NFL, throughout the season, okay, this is just how the Jags have played this year, and the Lions and the Bengals or whatever, and it's not what the expected level of performance was going to be. This is all the data we have, only 2023.
I mean, around week 4 that starts happening. Around week 6 is when I feel more confident in it, because if you look at teams like the Broncos or even the Raiders, who played 7 snaps, meaning they have really slow, remember when the Spurs used to play really slow basketball versus the Golden State Warriors, who play a ton. So you're going to get more information about the Warriors because there's more possessions than you are about the Spurs. So about 6 weeks in, you feel pretty good about who everyone happens to be. But around week 4, teams with regular amounts of drives per game, you start to see who they are this season. And then, of course, there's always injuries, weird things and adjustments that have to happen. But you start to see the concepts come to life after about 4 weeks. And with 6, you start. But truly, the cream that rises to the top, you see it after about September. But teams so for example, I'll know more about the Panthers, the Texans, hopefully if Anthony Richardson can play, then the Colts. So teams with like rookie quarterbacks or rookies at major positions, probably even the Falcons, I'll know more about after about 6 weeks too, because the concepts change with massively impactful rookies.
Interesting. You have to keep a note of that. Yeah, it's good to know. So about a month and a half into the season, we'll get a good idea of that. All right, Cynthia, what do you think happens on Sunday against the Bears? 3:25 Chiefs and Chicago. 12.5-point favorites the Chiefs are as of this morning. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I ran the numbers. For me, it's at least a 2-touchdown game in favor of obviously the Chiefs here. I just saw a quote where Justin Fields says like he felt like he was playing robotic. He wasn't playing like himself. He says his goal this week is to play football how I know how to play football. So perhaps it could be a little bit like if you're a fantasy owner of Justin Fields, maybe he's going to run a little bit more. But I don't think that it's going to be, this is a good game for the Chiefs defense to continue to fold Chris Johnson back into the fray.
I love it. Nice callback. That's great. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, as always, appreciate the time. Love the conversation. Enjoy the football, and we will talk next week.
Can't wait. Have a great week, guys.
Absolutely. You too. There's Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network. Great stuff talking with her each and every Wednesday here in the Zone and getting updates on the dogs. So, always need the updates with that. And I get my first update ever on Scout. So there you go.
Look, I just you have never given off that dog family energy, because I know that you guys aren't a pet fam right now, and so once
we don't have a dog,
maybe if that's a bridge you cross, or frankly, if I can bring you, there's a great little wiener dog whose name you already know pretty well. You know how to spell it, no E. I mean, maybe the Andersons just need a Brisco.
I've got enough Wiener Briscoe for 4 hours. I don't need more of that, man. I got to be around this guy already. You think I'm going to go home with that? No. Plus, it's not the kid's dog. It'll be my dog.
Yeah, that's true. Just think about how nice it would be, though, to get to yell in your own home. Brisco, stop it!
Brisco! Oh, Briscoe pooped again. Briscoe bleeped the bed again. It's what he's done.
It'd be nice for Brisco to ruin a rug instead of a segment for once.
He peed right down his leg. Just peed right down his leg. What'd you do? Ask him a question about baseball? Yeah.
He had to do a Sports Center. It was horrible.
Just on the fly.
It was everywhere. It was a mess.
It was bad. All right. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up in about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app.
Thank you to Cynthia Freeland. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis and who else?
Trent McDuffie.
Oh, yeah, GK and TMCD. So the first-round draft picks of the 2022 NFL Draft that have both been pretty damn good. And I will say that we haven't even talked about George Karlaftis in the first couple of games, and looking like maybe he is just continuing what he looked like ending the season last year. And he should have 2.5 sacks right now on the season, but unfortunately he does not. But he should. He should have that. But yeah, he's looked pretty good. And McDuffie, we talked about it yesterday, that Trent McDuffie, if you look at Pro Football Focus and some of the rankings and grades there, since the start of last year, of all the cornerbacks drafted in the 2022 NFL Draft, it is Sauce Gardner and then Trent McDuffie. In overall grade, in coverage, Trent McDuffie is actually number 1 in pass rush out of all cornerbacks selected last year, but Sauce and then Trent McDuffie. Now, Trent was not the second cornerback selected in the NFL Draft last year. There was also Stingley.
Yeah, Sauce was.
Sauce
forget
was the second.
Stingley went over Sauce.
That's right. And typically you put Sauce over the Stingley.
That's what I would do.
This one was the Sauce was underneath, which is perfectly fine. But we'll hear from Trent McDuffie, who's had an awesome start to the season, and we'll hear from Karlaftis, who's had an awesome start to the season, I believe, as well. So, along with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at the podium.
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are the two guys talking today who have had the more difficult starts to their year. That's actually true.
It's interesting because Karlaftis and McDuffie are playing on the stronger side of the football for the Chiefs so far.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the Chiefs get 2 players on the side of the football that's the strength for them on defense. And then one, that Patrick Mahomes guy.
One who runs around and throws it, and sometimes it gets caught. Sometimes not.
Just ad-libbing everywhere. How about run the play? How about do that?
Street
from
ball.
time to time. Yes. Cynthia saying the Justin Fields was playing like a robot. He's going to play a little freer now. Okay. We'll see. I mean, he was much better last year when he was running, when they had design runs for him, which isn't exactly the best thing for... Is Justin Fields the quarterback of the future for the Bears? I don't know. Let's see if he can win from the pocket. Well, it looks awful. Yeah, because I'm not running.
Hey.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, how about this? If Justin Fields is your quarterback, then use the strengths that he has. Run him. 2 games, they have 4 called runs for Justin Fields. One of those was a quarterback sneak. So they have 3 designed runs for Justin Fields in 2 games. That's going to change on Sunday, I'm convinced. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie here on this Wednesday. Getting ready for the Bears on Sunday. We'll also hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock with Mick. 913-912-4810. Coming up tonight on the station, Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold at 6 o'clock, getting ready for that BYU matchup Saturday afternoon on ESPN. And then we'll have Sporting KC taking on Nashville at 7:30 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You mentioned that quote from Justin Fields, feel like he's playing too robotic. Dan Weierder,
yeah, sure.
And a couple others, looks like out of Chicago, have tweeted here. Justin Fields acknowledged he's been playing too robotic, then bit the pin off the grenade and rolled it into the building with his explanation for why he believes it's that way. Quote, coaching.
I mean,
there might be more to that answer. That's all I have seen so far.
But, I mean, isn't that the answer, though?
Oh, it's what we've been saying, yeah. I think he's right.
I mean, are you supposed to say that? Well, probably not. But, I mean, if he said anything else, like, most people have seen, like, you can go on Twitter and see people breaking down videos of the Bears offense.
Yeah.
And just how awful it has been. And you can see the video of Shaq Barrett's pick six when he said they ran the same play 3 times in a row. Same personnel, same play 3 times in a row. The first 2 were penalties. So they ran the play. It was a penalty. They ran it again. It was a penalty. They ran it again. And then he stepped right in front of the running back and it was pick 6 because he knew what was coming. Like, that's, you know what? I don't even want to offend high school coaches.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's high school. Maybe that's high school way back in the day when it was like, here are the plays we run. These are the plays we run. High school now is much more dynamic than it used to be, but you can't run the same play out of the same personnel 3 times, you know, and have the defense say that, and then somebody go and get video and go, yeah, this is what he's talking about. Yep, here it is. There's the personnel. Yep, this is the play there. Oh, it's penalty. Brought it back. Oh, yep, they ran the same. Oh, penalty, brought it back. And, oh, wow, they were going for the 3rd time to try that one. Yeah, that is coaching. That's coaching a lot. And if you're taking Justin Fields and saying, you know what, we don't want him to run and use his legs. We want him to just simply be a pocket passer. Okay, then go and get a new quarterback. Then don't trade out of the number 1 spot and take a quarterback that is going to be more of a pocket passer.
When people suggested that maybe you just draft a quarterback at 1 and trade Justin Fields, that conversation never made it very far into the public zeitgeist because it was, well, no, they've got their quarterback, just get all these picks and build around him and everything, which I still think is reasonable if you do intend to actually build around that quarterback. Yeah. But man, what an absolutely bizarre stretch. We're at this point, man, I mean, through 2 weeks, you can say with I think real confidence, everybody in Chicago's got some blood on their hands there. They traded the 32nd overall pick for Chase Claypool, which was a bad decision at the time. But now Chase Claypool is playing some truly uninspired football.
And he had to come out and apologize because of his lack of effort in a game.
That can't happen in the NFL. That can't happen in college. That can't happen in week 2. It's unacceptable.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what week it is, but maybe you could understand in the middle of this team's 2-10,
yes,
and they're down by 25 points in the 4th quarter, and he just lollygagged on a play, and it was like, you know, the eye in the sky caught him. It's like, yeah, you know what, I can't do that.
Yep.
You're 0-1, but it's still week 2 of the season, and you've got video that people are posting of you just sort of going through the motions out there on a play that you have to then come out and apologize for. Look, Mike Tomlin did not use the volunteers, not hostages, on Chase Claypool. He's used it on a couple of different players. Chase Claypool, he said, we liked the value of the 2nd round pick from the Bears. That's all he said about Chase Claypool. We liked the value we got back on that pick. And they got Joey Porter Jr. With that pick. So they traded Chase Claypool for Joey Porter Jr. That's a trade that the Steelers are perfectly fine making because they already had George Pickens that they had drafted that year, and they saw what George Pickens was doing with Deontay Johnson. They liked what they had in Freiermuth, and they're like, you know, we have to put up with Chase Claypool. We can trade him to this team that apparently is unaware of who he is. And he went to Chicago and said, yeah, I'm a playmaker, and I want to be, and the Bears are going to use me as a playmaker, so I'm glad to be here, insinuating that the Steelers were not using him as a playmaker. So, I mean, now he's not playing, very hard.
Joey Porter Jr. has 3 fewer receptions this year than Chase Claypool.
I wish he had a couple of interceptions.
I thought he had one, which is why I checked. I thought he got one against the Browns, and that was not the case. No picks for Joey Porter this year. It's just the Chase. Joey Porter Sr. has 3 fewer receptions this year than Chase Claypool.
That's a good point. Here is Andy.
All right, as far as injuries go, Richie James, knee, he has an MCL. He won't practice today. Pacheco has a hamstring contusion. He won't practice. It's not a tear. It's just, and then Tony's got the sprained toe. And then Bolton and Willie have a sprained ankle and a quad contusion. So they're working through those. And, the latter two did the walkthrough, but won't practice. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Bears. Good football team, well coached by Matt and his staff, and they've got good players, and so we've got to make sure that we have a good week of preparation. Anyways, with that time, Drew.
Coach, is there any type of is there a reason why you all only ran the ball 4 times in the first half, or at least twice in the first half with Mahomes running? Is there a conscientious effort going forward to try to have a little bit more balance in that offense?
Yeah, just trying to do what we need to do, to move the ball. So we'll keep mixing it.
But twice in the
Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah.
Andy, Patrick talked about zone defense you guys have been facing. Just generally speaking, what are sort of the keys to beating when you see a lot of zone coverage?
Yeah, well, feel, is the first thing. Just players being able to sit in holes and do those things. So they have been playing zone, but they've also been playing man on third down, and so they've got that package in. Last year they mixed it between man, single safety, middle man, zone, and all the shell coverages. They've got a big package of stuff they can roll at you. But to answer your question, zone, you got to have a feel for it.
This may be pretty obvious, but how much of getting used to that feel is just the experience? And obviously you guys have a lot of new guys you're cycling in here.
Yeah, that's we've got to do a better job there, but not with it's everybody. It's everybody. And then don't put ourselves in long yardage situations, where you potentially can't run the ball.
Coach, with the lack of contact and the lack of hitting when you did it for 50 years in the NFL, is the first month of the season almost like a crapshoot? You don't know really what you're going to get from your people and what you get from their people.
I tell you, that's every year. I mean, the first few games, everybody's bringing out their new stuff and working with that, or new players, working with them. And so everything settles down after a month or so.
Coach, the injury list include a lot of key players, right? And then appear to be long term.
Yeah, these guys, most of them are just day to day. Richie might be a little bit longer, yeah, possibly.
Andy, with
the other ones are day to day.
Andy, with your appreciation of NFL history and where you are on the wins list now, I just wondered what perspective you might have on Tom Landry, particularly if you were conscious of him growing up, and as well as George Halas. To what degree you had any engagement or consciousness of them?
I know who both of them are. Tom Landry, I didn't know that. Tom Landry, I'd tell you that when I was a kid, I'd go out to their training camps in Cal Lutheran, California there. Very impressed by how they operated. They, he was a phenomenal coach, phenomenal teams, and loved watching.
And what moved you to go out to, was it Thousand Oaks?
Yeah.
You were pretty young to be going out there.
Yeah, it was junior high school and high school, yeah. We had an opportunity to go out and watch practice, and it was great for a kid. It's a great deal.
Playing any NFL thoughts at that point?
No, I was just watching the guys. They had a lot of great players. They were Jordan, Lilly, when he was still going, and I mean, you could go on and on. I had a bunch of them.
And last thing, just with Hallis, I mean, you know his place in NFL
Sure.
history. I know you've referred to him before with LDT and some things like that, but I just wonder what your thoughts about him are.
Great innovator. He'll get this league started, so you know that. And I know his daughter, you know, and so I know that part of it and his grandkids, but I didn't know him. But he left a great legacy.
Coach, another off-the-field question. One of your former players, Jamal Charles, up for 2024 class of Hall of Fame. What do you remember about him?
Hall of Fame player. So he was tremendous. Could do everything. I mean, literally everything. He could have played wide receiver. Did play running back. You give him the ball, you're guaranteed whatever his average is. But it's one of the highest, if not the highest, in the league history. So I mean, he's a great player. Wish I would have had him, you know, when he was even younger than what I got him at. So.
I know you're not a voter, but do you feel like he should be a first ballot?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. When there are a lot of running backs who play the game,
right,
and he's right there statistically at the top. And then, you know, all the things that he could do to help you win a football game. Not a lot of guys can do that, and he did it easily.
Andy, you talked the other day about Juwan Taylor and some of the problems he's having. You said they could be fixed. What's that process? Can you elaborate on what that process will be like for him and for you as coaches to help him through that?
Yeah, so you know he works hard on getting off the snap on time. He does that, but he's just gonna have to, you know, tame that down just a little bit, where he doesn't get called on it, and that's just working through it.
He and Donovan Smith have been, they've had some penalties, but they've also shown some glimpses of why they're proven vets in the league. Just
yeah, you take the penalties away from, you know, 7-4, man. He had a really good game, you know. So it's a shame that happened, but he's got to work on that.
Coach,
And Donovan likewise. I mean, you're right. Donovan's done a nice job.
Justin Fields has mentioned trying to play without thinking too much. As you groomed Donovan and now Patrick, he's in his third year. How do you balance maybe providing too much and still letting a quarterback that's that dynamic play there?
Yeah. He's a good football player, so and he can do so many things. I don't know. I mean, I'm not there. I've never.
More so in your experience.
Yeah. I think they'll work it out. I mean, that's what they're doing right now. So I don't know exactly what he said, but if he's saying that, then he's working through it. And, you know, it's important that we kind of get ourselves right to play a guy that can do so many different things. He'll be one of the faster guys on the field. You know, he can do all of that. Smart. Got a good arm. So.
Coach, there's oftentimes about your coaching tree, but on the executive side, how do you feel Ryan Poles has done in the 2 years he's been in Chicago coming from?
Yeah, listen, I'm a big Ryan Poles fan, so I think he's good. He needs time. You know, that's what it takes to do what he's being asked to do. So, but he's gotten in there and grinded like crazy and made changes that look like they're pretty good players.
Coach, is there a different intensity about Travis Kelce? A little chippiness after the game, and then in training camp a little bit. I know injuries are awful, nobody likes them, but do you sense there's a different intensity that you're like talking to him about?
No, not necessarily. He's always been feisty and competitive as all get out. You know, my point was that he went into that game where he was banged up a little bit, didn't have an opportunity to knock the rust off in the first game. And so he put himself in a certain mindset. And the great ones can do that. I mean, he was there and he was battling through it. And I thought he did a heck of a job with it. I mean, he never complains, never says anything, and just goes. So, and he's not the youngest one out there, right? So but he did. I thought he did a good job. But that's what he did. He went out and he had a certain attitude that he knew he was going to have to get through that game, and he put it on. And anybody that was going to mess with him, going to get messed back. So.
Couple more guys. I know you don't get involved in the contract. You'll leave that up to Brett. But when Patrick gets a restructure done, gets rewarded, what do you say to him? Do you bring it up at all? Do you congratulate him, and does it make you think about still how much longer you're going to be coaching him?
Yeah, no, I mean I congratulate him. Yeah, that's nice. He's not big on all of that. He just kind of moves through it, and like he does most things, and wants to keep getting better at what he's doing. So. That's what makes him unique with people. You don't sit there and go, "Oh, he's gonna have a letdown." No, you never think of that. He just, hey, nice, congrats, keep moving, and that's how he rolls. But I'm happy for him. That Clark Hunt did that. Just shows you, what kind of owner he is, and then Brett and his crew there. Brant and Chris just working through that with his agents, or with his agent Chris. Those aren't easy. They're complicated, and they worked through it and came up with a good formula, I think, for both parties. So it was good.
Make him buy now when you guys go out to eat?
I might think of that.
Last two will go Rob and Nate. Oh, you're good? Okay. Last one, Nate. Oh, go ahead.
Andy, you guys have had a lot of success these first 2 weeks in nickel and in dime. I just wonder from your standpoint, what do you think has led to that success, and how valuable is it to have success in both sub packages?
I think getting Snead back helps, right? We didn't have him preseason healthy, but getting him back in the mix here and going. And it's also the young DBs that have learned from last year. Now every week's going to be a challenge. So, whatever they did last week was great. They got to do it again, and you got to build on that. But they've worked very hard. Spags does a great job of putting them in positions and moving them around and bringing different people in, giving different looks. And David and Donald do a great job coaching the back end. So there's good communication, and they work on their fundamentals all the time and techniques, so it's fun to watch them grow. But there's still plenty of room to go. It's and a lot of season here.
Last one, Aaron.
Chicago looking to avoid 0-3 and that kind of thing. Do you expect them to kind of roll the dice, go for it on fourth down, be more aggressive, trying to avoid that start?
Yeah, Matt's a tough guy, and that's the way he coaches that football team, and they play hard. And there's small margins between winning and losing in this league. We know that. And so we have to have a great week of preparation. That's the way that's one thing we can control, is going out there and working our tail off. And you put on the tape and you see how hard they play. And you better be ready, right? I mean, that's part of this.
All right, thank you.
Good. Yep.
All right, there's Andy Reid. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes and then George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie. Injury news, the biggest takeaway from that, Bolton and Gay dealing with the ankle injury. Richie James and MCL might be a little bit longer. Pacheco, a hamstring contusion, and Kadarius Toney, a sprained toe. James, Pacheco, Toney not practicing. Bolton and Gay limited in a walkthrough. Most of those guys think it's a short-term day-to-day. Richie James longer. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
How you doing?
Congratulations on a great contract. Is it just, when you have that kind of support, I mean, is it just endearing, supportive, grateful, humbling? I don't know, to know your owner wants to be sure you are taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a great spot. I got a lot of great people around me. Very thankful to the Hunt family and the Chiefs organization. And glad that now I can just go out there and play football. And so you get that security, and I already had it, but just to get a little bump and then be able to go back out there and just play football, I'm excited for it.
Patrick, but when you look at that, I know before the season, you said that really wasn't really as important to you being the number one player because, yeah, like you said, I guess it's still the same money, but just get more of it up front over the next 4 years. Was it that important to you to get this done, or was it more so the agent so you could, so they could get this taken care of so you could focus and, I guess, ego-wise, to be able to be, set to the top paid quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's just constant communication between me, my people, the front office, Clark Hunt, Coach Reed. to find the right spot to where I can get paid and keep the quarterback market going. At the same time, keep a lot of great dudes around me and keep cap space for other guys to get signed as well. And that'll be something that I'll do throughout my entire career to try to obviously make money for myself and my family, but keep a lot of great players around me as well.
Patrick, what is sort of the balance? I mean, obviously that pulls you in two different directions as far as trying to keep everybody here, but being towards the top. What is sort of the struggle there, and how do you decide which end of the spectrum to fall?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. You get to watch and see what's going on around the league and find that right spot. And I thought we found a good one in this negotiation that we did that we'll be able to still keep cap space for other guys to get signed. But obviously, I got a little bit more money up front, and then we'll kind of redo it and renegotiate whenever we get to that mark that we talked about. So it's a special place and a special relationship that I have with the team to be able to trust them, to be able to even when I signed the last contract, know that this was going to happen and then probably going to happen again at some point.
So you do, like, throughout that process, ask yourself, how's this going to affect 24, 25, 26 for the rest of the roster?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have a lot of great players that I want to be here so we can win a lot of Super Bowls, and I want to make a lot of money, but I also want to win. I think when you look back at teams and players, you look back at how they won and the perception of how they did things, and so that's what I try to manage and find the right median of getting the money, but also winning football games.
What would your advice be to a guy like Justin Fields? He's talked about the game being a little fast and wanting to slow it down. You've been in a spot like that before. What would you say to him about kind of the struggles he's facing this year?
Yeah, just trust your talent, trust your instincts. He's here for a reason. He's made a lot of big plays happen in the NFL and in college, wherever he's been. So just trust in your instincts, and then go out there and be the player that you've always been, just not against us, hopefully.
Patrick, you mentioned the quarterback market. I think you mentioned that in the spring as well. There's a responsibility you feel to, if you're the MVP and the Super Bowl champion, to get paid up there. How does that communication actually work? Does the union talk to you guys? Does other agents say, listen, you guys got to give Patrick more money? How does that go down? Where do you get that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a ton of communication. I think it's just kind of a known that you got to keep the bar going. You got to keep it moving. I don't want people to be negotiated against me, and so that's a reason that you do something like I did this last week, just trying to keep the market moving in the right direction, training in the right direction, so not only me but other quarterbacks and other positions can get paid the money that they deserve.
Patrick, does this kind of stuff make you study business more, or do you just leave most of that advice to your agents? Or?
I've always kind of liked it. I mean, if I didn't become a NFL player, I wanted to be either a sports agent or and work in sports marketing. I always wanted to help players, so I've always been interested in it. And I know that I'm doing it a different way than other people, but I feel like it's the right way for me because of the trust I have in the front office that I'm going to still make a lot of money and be set for life and for my kids and everything like that. But hopefully give us a chance to go out there and win football games as well.
Patrick, you thrive under pressure. When the going gets tough, you get going way up there. But does a contract like this add more pressure?
I always feel like I'm under pressure to go out there and succeed. I feel like that's a standard that I have on myself. And I want to go out there and maximize this opportunity that I have. And I always talk about, like, not having regrets. And, I mean, the money is the money. Like, it's awesome. It's amazing. I know I can do a lot of great things, not only for myself, but for people that have given me so much. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be look back on how I played the game, and I hope that that's with intensity and leaving everything out there, and hopefully that means winning a lot of football games.
Patrick, go back on the field. Do you feel like you're getting the best out of Marquez? I think this past week you only had 2 targets, I think the 2 catches, but, one of your top receivers on the team, and he hasn't really been the focal point of the offense the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been great offensively just in general. So I think as the offense gets going and we start finding our rhythm, you're going to start seeing those shots at Marquez down the field. You're going to see him be more involved in the offense. But when you can't stay in rhythm, and that's me included, as an offense, it's hard to get the guys the targets that they deserve and that they should get. And so we have to find that rhythm and find the way to spread the ball around and then get the guys the catches so that we can go out there and have a better offensive day.
Do you sense any frustration coming from him yet?
No, I mean, I haven't. From that whole receiving room, I haven't any frustration. I mean, I think the frustration is probably more of me about myself and how the offense has been doing. So that everybody's had that mentality that we just got to keep working, keep getting better, me included. But obviously we want to play better because the defense is playing so well. We want to take some of that pressure off of them.
Patrick, I'm sure this is like
a much larger answer than this setting provides, but from 18 and 19 on to like now, how has the game and defenses and coverages kind of made you have to be more patient with how you operate?
Yeah, I mean, you just see it. We get a lot more zone coverages, a lot more deeper coverages. I mean, you look at the interception I threw to Watson this last week. In previous years, that safety on the backside is not that deep and not able to get back there. And so I looked over to the right and saw him kind of open up his hips to the right, and so I thought there was a chance I could throw it over the top, and I got it over the top of the guy J. Watt was covering. That was covering J. Watt, but the safety made a play. So it shows that defenses are going to continue to play back and make me be patient. And I have to be able to do that, take what's there, not have negative plays happen, and then with our defense playing like it is, we'll continue to score, and then defenses will have to become aggressive at some point.
We've got time for a couple more. Let's go Steve and then Todd. Go Steve. Patrick, you mentioned the quarterback market. There's 14 of you guys, meaning black quarterbacks this year, which is a record. Last year there was 11. Where do you see that black quarterback market going?
Yeah, I think it's as the game gets more diversified and the way that's played, I think you'll see more black quarterbacks in the league and having opportunities. And I think the next step is kind of having the backup quarterbacks and stuff like that. And I think that's something that we'll continue to push in the right direction. And it just shows that you can play the quarterback position in a lot of different ways. I think that's the coolest thing. And offensive coordinators are given these quarterbacks, no matter where you come from, the best chance to go out there and succeed. And I think if you see that, this should have been happening for years because you see how high the level of quarterback play has been throughout the league.
Yeah, now do you guys, I know you worry about your team during the season, but how do you guys push each other throughout the season? Is there, who's leading the group text message?
Yeah, not a group text message or anything like that, but it's always good to see those guys in the off seasons, in the Pro Bowls or wherever it is, and just say like, hey man, I was watching you all year, a hell of a year. And so it's cool to see the position in general and how it's changed over the last few years, even since I've been in the NFL. And we're hoping to keep pushing that forward. And so when we leave, it's even a better spot than when we got here.
Had a few snap issues this year so far. Just blip on the radar on that, or something you guys got to work on as far as getting it back there?
Yeah, I think last week it was a little bit it's kind of like a greedy on me. I try to go verbal on some of those cadences, and we had a little miscommunication where I wasn't loud enough for those guys to hear. And so when we're in a away game, trying to go back to that silent count, just work on that instead of trying to be greedy and do the verbal stuff. And as far as the snaps, whenever we're going back and forth, that can get a little messed up here and there. But we've done it for 2 years and it's worked well, so we'll be all right.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. Number of things addressed. A lot about the contract, and at the end there about the snaps. That there were a number of them that were low from Kareem Hunt, but interesting. Got verbal instead of just on the road going with the silent count. I don't know. They practiced silent count all week, and then in the game decided the crowd isn't that bad. Let's give these verbal cues, and then that messes up the timing or whatever. I'm not sure.
Something to note in the Juwan Taylor conversation also.
Yeah.
Don't know how much that impacts it.
Totally.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that interception, interesting, he said that, in the years past, that safety wouldn't be there. I looked over to the right. I saw him open his hips, but I still thought I could get it there. That's something where, this week against the Bears or as the weeks go on that, all right, that guy's opening up his hips. I did that against the Jags. It wasn't there, even though Justin Watson beat his guy. So if that safety wasn't there, that's a long gain and maybe a touchdown, and it's the offensive old. They're not playing us that anymore. I got to go somewhere else. I can't do that. I got to take advantage of that safety opening up his hips and going that way and throw underneath that to there. Next time, he doesn't open up his hips, and he drives on the football more.
And not super different than the way we talked about similar defenses in recent years, but interesting for him to just say as a matter of fact, like, well, yeah, we're going to score, then the defense will get to stop, and eventually opposing defenses will have to be more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
We know this, but it's interesting to hear Mahomes say, essentially, and God, I can't wait for defenses to try me again, because he's excellent when he's blitzed. He's excellent when they do try to bring numbers and get more aggressive that way. So it's a matter of buying time until you get one of those shots.
It's funny. I would love to see I'd have to go back and look at every single play, but it really feels like the cleaner the pocket, the less effective the Chiefs' offensive play is. Is that just me that I'm just like, I see like him sitting back in the pocket, and it doesn't ever feel like there's a sit there, survey, find the guy, throw the ball. It feels like it's a clean pocket, a couple of, all right, I got to get out of here. All right, because I'm used to needing to get the hell out of here, that I can't just, sit in here and find the guys and survey and wait for somebody to come up and come open in a certain lane or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just my own anecdotal views of like, wow, he's got a lot of time in the throw, and he didn't. That's not a completed pass. All right, hey, yeah, look at that. That's a clean pocket. Okay, he's got time. Oh, and now he's escaping the pocket, and I don't know. Again, could be totally anecdotal, and somebody else can go back and say, well, look at all these plays. That it was a clean pocket. Boom, got to the end of his 5-step drop, surveyed, took a step forward. Boom, fired it on time. Great throw, and it was first down.
I mean, to some extent, that could just be the numbers there, where when he is less pressured, there are more defensive backs to sort through, or the pass catchers who are out there just aren't getting separation because if you're getting any extra help from your safety help there, it makes it even harder for Mahomes to find that answer if guys aren't getting open.
Yeah. So we'll see. And look, this was not an overall stellar game for the tackles. A lot of the focus being on Jawan Taylor. I thought Donovan Smith was fine in the game. He had the holding call. Mm-hmm. His 2 holding penalties this year have been getting beat inside.
Yep.
Maybe that's something to keep in mind for him moving forward. That is a difference than what Orlando Brown was. Orlando Brown hardly ever got beat inside because if somebody tried to go inside on Orlando Brown and he got on him, that guy wasn't going anywhere.
Yep.
He was a massive human being. Still is. He's not dead. But he is a massive human being. And when somebody tried to go inside, they were toast. To beat Orlando Brown was around the edge, was to be more athletic and beat him around the edge. So we didn't really see him get beat inside often. Donovan Smith's been beat inside twice. Mm-hmm. And both times he's had to hold. The first one was more annoying than this one because the first one, he got beat inside with Pacheco helping on the chip. So Pacheco was there to help on the outside, and Donovan Smith over-dropped or whatever, and he had help there. So the last place you want to get beat is inside when the running back is staying in to chip. And he got beat inside, then he held. And that was a long gain to Sky Moore. That was after the Kadarius Toney drop against the Lions on that final drive. Here's Trent McDuffie.
You happy with the way the defense has been playing the first 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at just the points that we've led up and just the overall how we've been competing every day. This is a defense that's young and hungry, and I know Spags has been calling some great plays for us, and I know the defense is happy where we're at, but we definitely have some things we got to clean up and definitely looking to trend in an upwards direction for sure.
Spags usually tells us it takes about half season for y'all to find cohesiveness.
Yeah.
It seems like you're way ahead of schedule. How come?
Honestly, I think it's just coming off of last year. We were a young group. We had to learn a lot. This whole defense came back again this year, and over OTAs and training camp, I feel like we've grown really close as a group as far as just unit-wise and just overall as a defense. And I think a lot of guys kind of just come in here and just are willing to work each and every day, and that can be huge as far as just in the future knowing that you're just going to continue to stack days. And I think that's what Coach Bagg is talking about, is just there's a bunch of group of guys that are just here to do their job and do it at the best they can.
Sharon, I was talking to Nick post-game, and he was talking about how you guys are coming in with something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
You want to prove it to yourselves, to your team, and just to everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are that defense. What's the mentality of that defense?
Yeah, like I said, we're hungry.
Yeah.
And I know off of last year, just based off of just stats and everything that went on, we won the Super Bowl, but I know this defense definitely felt like we could have done more and produced more. And coming to this year, this is something that we definitely have been looking at and want to continue to succeed with and show that, just because last week and the week before we held them to 14 points, this is a defense that's going to continue to do that and be consistent with it.
And this is your second year, you mentioned last year. How much has a game slowed down for you?
Yeah, a lot actually. And I feel like last year was my first time really on the inside playing nickel and stuff. So things that I didn't see before as far as football in general on the inside was so different, and it was such a learning process that this year being able to slow it down during OTAs and kind of break it down at what my position is and just my job and my responsibilities, the game slowed down a ton. And so it's been very beneficial with that.
Is it satisfying when the defense can play like you're playing as the offense is still trying to find their rhythm?
Yeah, man, that was something coming in here coming from UW, you know, it was a huge defensive school, and you come to the Chiefs and it's like, okay, it's an offensive-driven team, you know, like they score a lot of points. And I know last year and especially this year, just over the offseason, we've been talking about what can the defense do? How can we help 15? How can we help the Chiefs overall just keep winning? And that's just keeping points off the board. And I think we've done a really good job at just getting that ball back to 15, like we always say. And I think it's time for when 15, you know, he wins a lot of games for us, but when he's not having the best day and some things are going well for the offense, it's up to the defense to step up and win the game for the team, and that's something that we want to do every time.
Trey, we didn't get to ask you after the first game, but you mentioned in training camp that you wanted to be someone who created more turnovers.
Yeah.
Just what worked so well in that red zone play to get the fumble?
Honestly, it's just aggressiveness. They ran a screenplay, which, you know, just a simple little dish out, and you talk about just block destruction. You talk about a swarming defense, and then just the ability to just fight. I mean, they're on a long drive. They're in the red zone. A lot of things were working well for them, and we just kept battling. And I know that week against Detroit, we didn't have the best red zone defense, and I'm really happy that last week against the Jags, you know, we were able to step up and take a step forward.
Spags loves to put 6 DBs out on the field.
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew 5 of you guys got drafted last year. How much pride do you take in Spags sort of featuring that as part of the defense, having 6 DBs out for a large chunk of games?
Man, as a DB, I love it. You know, anytime I can have all my boys out there on the field, you know, I'll take that anytime. And I think it also just shows the trust he has with the defensive backs to put six of us out there and be like, okay, y'all are out there, y'all got to stop, y'all got to make this play. It brings a lot of pride to the group, and I know that we're ready for it, and we know we want to be out there anytime. So anytime there's 6 DBs, 5 DBs, shoot, any DB on the field, we know that we're out there to make a play.
Patrick just got an amazing contract.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's like $1 million a week. It's like, you know, $52 million for the year.
Mm-hmm.
As a young player, I mean, what's your reaction to that, knowing that's what's available in the NFL?
Honestly, I don't even think about that. It's year 2 for me. This is week 3. I'm thinking about what I got to do against this team right now. So all that money and stuff is great, but not anything I honestly think about, to be honest with you.
Does it shock the system, though?
I mean, man, coming into the NFL, I already knew money is crazy. Guys are getting a bunch of contracts, so it's exciting knowing that much money's out there. But again, that's a quarterback. You know, that's Patrick Mahomes getting this type of money. So, yeah, I mean, it's humbling and it's exciting for him. I know I'm super excited for him.
Last one, Matt.
It was well documented last year about how the newcomers met regularly to get acclimated to everything that was thrown at you. How much have the newcomers this year adopted those habits that you guys established last year?
Yeah, honestly, they've been doing a really good job. I think it helps when you have some guys who came in the league last year, first year, and kind of learning it that way for these new rookies and even just new guys coming in. We're able to kind of take a step back and go, okay, yeah, last year we did this, thought this way, like this didn't work, this worked. So I feel like it's a little more fresh in our minds of like how everything went last year and how we're trying to learn the defense. So and that aspect of it has been very beneficial. But again, it's a tough defense. It's a tough team to come into, especially if you come from any team. Just the way we practice and just the things that we do. So just being positive, like the vets were to me last year, is something that I've been doing, and just being patient, you know. I tell them all the time that, you know, you're not going to learn this defense all today, but just keep stacking the days and keep just getting as best as you can and learning the things that they got to do.
Trey, you talked about those red zone stops, particularly that one where the Jags had first and goal at the 1.
Yeah.
Didn't score. What's to say about your defense that you can stop them even though it's first and goal at the 1?
Yeah, man, the resilience, honestly. This is a defense where I always say football is not perfect. We're going to have mistakes. They're going to make plays. We're going to make plays. And over the course of a game, you know, you can kind of get lost in everything that's happening play by play. But to stop a team that's on the 1 yard line who, you know, is a really high-powered offense, and to just keep driving them back even, you know, it's not like they finish at the 1 yard line. They keep going backwards. I think it just brings a confidence to the defense and shows that, you know what, the things that we've been doing since training camp, all that time, all the practice, all those reps are finally paying off, and I think we're just going to continue to improve and stack upon that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
All right, there's Trent McDuffie, one of the best players on this Chiefs defense. Some would say the second best or third best, depending on which way you break it down. But any way you slice it, he's been awesome since the Chiefs drafted him, and they found somebody special in Trent McDuffie. And if Trent McDuffie continues on the path he's on, he will have lots of money.
Yes.
He's already got lots. It's all relative.
I don't know about $1 million a week.
He's not going to have him. I would promise you that he's not going to make $1 million a week with the cornerback contract he signs.
Probably not.
But he's going to make a lot of money in his career if he just keeps playing like this. May not be with the Chiefs in a second contract, but it'll be somewhere, whether in Kansas City or somewhere else. So he has been awesome so far. Here is Furious George Karloftis.
Chris Jones back in the lineup. It was great. When you have a guy like that come back, his impact was evident on the game, and just to have a guy like that play next to you, it helps me out a lot. So it's awesome.
George, this offense obviously gets a lot of publicity. Do you guys kind of feel a little in the shadows because of what Patrick Mahomes and the offense does?
We're not really focused on who gets the publicity as long as we get the win, to be quite honest.
But how does it feel to basically, I know you didn't win the first 2 games by yourself, but you put the offense in position to do so?
That's what we have to do every week. They put us in a position to win, and we put them in a position to win too. That's kind of how team sports work, and that's how we have this sustained greatness, if you will. Just by playing off of each other. When the offense needs help, the defense picks up the slack, and vice versa.
George, with the work you put in with Tamba and Bobby the past year or so, were there certain times during either camp or the first couple of weeks where you felt like that work paying off and some of the stuff you were
doing? Yeah, absolutely. All the work that I did in the off season, I feel like really helped. Just having that experience from the first year, knowing what to work on, and then having a plan and executing it in an off season. Whether it was with Tamba, who helped me tremendously in OTAs with coach, and when I was training at Louisville with my college strength coach and all of them, just having a plan and executing that was the biggest thing in the off season.
Are you guys where you want to be defensively?
No. I mean, we're not close. I think that we have a lot of things to work on and improve. There's always room for improvement. I think we've had a couple good games and it's a good start, but then consistency is the truest measure of a good defense. So.
George, you and Felix are 2 different players, but do you see a lot of the things you went through last year as a rookie that he's going through now?
Absolutely. Just with a rookie and a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, not just in him, but all the rookie guys we have, and KC and in BJ, and even in Truman, all those guys are kind of going through the figuring it all out, because, for me, I'm still figuring stuff out right now. So as a pass rusher, it takes some time, and our coaches are pretty graceful, and they understand that it takes time, and we're grateful that they do. So definitely see some stuff with Felix that I went through, and I empathize with it, and I've been in your shoes, I know what it's like, and just try to help him out a little bit. He has, as a rookie, you have guys telling you one thing another, and your head kind of explodes sometimes. So, you just gotta take a deep breath, listen to your coach, and it'll be good. So.
How'd it feel to get that first sack, and are you still working on the celebration?
Didn't really think about the celebration, to be honest. Felt good, just to be out there, help the team, make a positive play for the team and all that stuff. It's great.
Anybody else? You look at Chicago, Justin Fields. What do you see that maybe you guys need to be mindful of? Ways that maybe you can get the success you want on the field? When you study them, how do you evaluate it?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. He's a great quarterback. People talk about how well he can run the ball. We think he's pretty good throwing the ball too. So we have a lot of respect for him, and not just him, their whole offense. Great receiving core, great running backs, and a great O-line. So we're gonna have our hands full. They do a really good job. I think they led the league maybe in rushing yards last year. They were near that. So stopping the run game's got to be an emphasis for us, and then getting after them when they're throwing the ball.
Anybody else? Thank you, George. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Last one.
George, for you guys in the defensive line room, what is it that you guys are wanting to either put on tape or have opponents say about you whenever they go against you?
I mean, we don't really care what the opponents say about us. We just want to be the unit that plays the toughest. Our defensive line coaches, Joe Cullen and Terry Braden, who I think are 2 of the best in the business. They always preach about leading the NFL in effort. So really just about that. I think if we just do that, play our hearts out, and then play with the technique that we're coached under. We'll be just fine.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, George.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there's George Karlaftis. The Furious George has himself a sack and a pretty good start to the season. We will take a timeout. We'll come back, talk about, and react to what we heard there from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Trent McDuffie, and also George Karlaftis. And also, there is news out of Chicago that will impact the game on Sunday and make it a little more likely that somebody like George Karlaftis might have yet another good game, and others on the offensive line. We'll get into that next.
Hungry? Go fast casual with Beefaroo. Mouth-watering, fresh-shaped, made-to-order roast beef sandwiches, burgers, salads, wraps, and more. Beefaroo's got what you're craving. Try our authentic Wisconsin cheese curds, a loaded baked potato, or our super popular cheddar fries. Download our free app and order online. Beefaroo, famously delicious since 1967 and now near you. At 135th Street and Schweitzer Road near the Shields Overland Park Soccer Complex. Beefaroo, download our free app to order online or visit beefaroo.com.
The Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending, beats your 3% mortgage. Here's why. It pays your principal first by eliminating interest, which allows you to pay your home off in less than half the time and gives you access to your home's equity without ever having to refinance. Call Cap One Lending, 816-905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com. We've been doing the Freedom Loan for nearly 20 years. Join the thousands who have paid their home off in half the time. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or paying off high-interest debt, it's worth a 5-minute call to Cap One Lending to see if the Freedom Loan is right for you. 816-905-1111. That's 905-1111. Or visit us at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Hey, frozen treat fans, did you know Andy's Frozen Custard is a proud sponsor of the Kelsey Car Jam Friday, September 22nd? Andy's has been supporting Travis's charity for years, raising nearly $100,000. Hurry and grab your tickets to this cool event now at 87running.org before they sell out. There will be food, players, collectible cars, and even the Andy's NASCAR Series 3 car. Andy's Frozen Custard. Aren't they always just the coolest?
Tito's handmade vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. From a seat in the stands to the best seat on the couch. Root for your favorite team with your favorite team spirit. No matter who's on your roster, lineup, or lucky jersey, make Tito's your first round bottle pick. Whose house? Tito's house. Find cocktail recipes for every fan at titosvodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Snow, sleet, and freezing rain may not be on your radar. At Rose Property Maintenance, we prepare all year long. You know it's coming, and as a business owner, customer safety and satisfaction are the priority. Here at Rose Property Maintenance, we specialize in commercial, warehouse, and industrial snow removal. ASCA certified, we've been leading the industry for over 21 years. Be prepared. Request a site visit at rpmsnowkc.com. That's rpmsnowkc.com.
We are Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're for home sweet home. We're for condos, tutors, single wides, and studios. We're for ranches, houseboats, 2 stories or 20. Red cedar, bluebirds, white squirrels, black walnuts, whatever's out your back door, we're for that.
All right, we'll hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. And you know one thing that Mick Schaefer likes to do on Fridays or just really any time, and that's to tailgate. He likes to tailgate. He tailgates for high school football, and then he drives really closely to people in front of him. So it's just what he does. But for those out there that like tailgating or just food that you may have at a tailgate or just any time anywhere, how about some Guaranteed Foods tailgate pack giveaway for upcoming home game against the Bears? You can register to win the Guaranteed Foods Tailgate Pack Giveaway. Go to 810WHB.com/Guaranteed Foods, 810WHB.com/Guaranteed Foods, and register. We will be giving away a $500 Guaranteed Foods Tailgate Pack. We will let you register throughout today. So the winner will be selected and contacted tomorrow. It includes 4 slabs of baby back ribs, brisket burn-ins, cheesy corn, bone-in honey barbecue wings, Cure 81 honey glazed ham, jalapeno soft pretzel bites, Johnsonville brats, chicken tender strips, baked beans with brisket, baked potato casserole, and the gourmet turtle cheesecake that was mwah. It was dynamite. That's $500 value that you get by going to 810WHB.com/Guaranteed Foods and registering to win.
I'd like to add something to this.
Add it.
Guaranteed Foods has not told me I can do this, but I'd like to make the offer.
Okay.
I will deliver it to you, but it will be missing one cheesecake.
One slice or one entire cheesecake?
On the record, you've heard me. I don't want this to get legally dicey. It'll be missing, perhaps, the amount of cheesecake that it takes for me to drive to your house. That's what. If you're a 45-minute drive, you're going to be missing 3 slices of cheesecake. I'm going to say 1 slice of cheesecake for every 15 minutes that it takes me to deliver it to your house. It's probably better to have the folks at Guaranteed Foods handle that because they deliver all the time. It's what they do. But I'm willing to do a help. I'm willing to be a part of the solution here. At a reasonable fee.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of the cheesecake.
Reminds me of the line that Curtis had, and he uses this on the program a number of times, so this is not me speaking out of turn. When he talked about like going through the drive-thru and ordering like 2 Cokes.
Yeah.
And he said, then the person gives me 2 straws, and he goes, that's cute. One of these is not surviving the trip home. I don't need 2 straws.
I got a driving drink and an at-home drink.
One of these is not lasting the trip home.
That's beautiful.
It was great. It's a great line by Curtis. But it's also great Guaranteed Foods tailgate food here. $500 value. Go to 810WHB.com/Guaranteed Foods and register right now. Somebody's going to win. Somebody is going to win. Why not you? Why not you? News out of Chicago. Besides Justin Fields playing robotic and blaming the coaches, the Bears' starting left tackle, Braxton Jones, who played and finished the game on Sunday, who was not part of the injury report, as of about an hour ago, so right before we were starting the press conferences with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and McDuffie and Karlaftis, the Bears have placed Braxton Jones, their starting left tackle, on IR. He has a neck injury. He will miss at least the 4 games on IR. It could be season-ending. How long it is doesn't matter for the Chiefs game this weekend. It's just that now on Wednesday, their starting left tackle is placed on the IR. Matt Eberflus said it was a neck injury that popped up after the game. So he played the whole game. Then after the game, he's got something going on with his neck. Now he's being placed on IR. He might miss the whole season. Darnell Wright, the rookie, has been playing right tackle. They are discussing whether or not they're going to move Darnell Wright over to left tackle. The plan, it seems like so far, is that they prefer to just leave him on the right side for the entire year. That means Larry Borum, Missouri Tiger, who is in his 3rd year with Chicago and has played mostly right tackle and right guard. I don't think he's taken a snap in the NFL on the left side. And I even think guard, too. He's played right guard and right tackle. He may have played some left guard, but he's played right guard and mostly right tackle. He will be starting on Sunday, taking his first reps in the NFL at left tackle. Now, Larry Borum played right tackle, left tackle, and I think both guards at Missouri. I mean, he played all over the place, and he was awesome, which is how you get drafted in the NFL, is because you're a damn fine offensive lineman in college. And he was a really good pass protector for Missouri. That was like his main thing. The pressure rate just against Larry Borum wasn't there. So they are now going up against an offensive line this weekend that will be without their left tackle, that is going to be without their left tackle as of, I think they probably found out on Monday or Tuesday, as of 6 days before they'll play a game. The Jags knew they'd be without Cam Robinson throughout training camp for 4 weeks. You can do a little bit more planning for that. This is now on the fly, and you're going to be starting somebody who hasn't played on that side of the line in his career at left tackle in Larry Borum, with a rookie who's played 2 games in his career at right tackle. It's very Jagsian when they had backup left tackle and rookie right tackle out there against the Chiefs, who were all over Jacksonville. It's already been a rough couple of games for Justin Fields. Could be even more rough.
On the other hand, for Jacksonville, they had a quarterback who looks comfortable playing NFL football. They have a defensive coordinator who is with the team.
It's not away from the team with no reason given.
They have wide receivers who catch passes and run routes at full speed. I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic in week 3, but I don't want to be hyperbolic in week 3, but this is the worst start to a season I've ever seen. And that might actually be intentionally a little bit of an exaggeration. But in terms of the number of things that just feel like it's circling the drain for the Bears right now, again, week 2, we read those quotes earlier, and Justin Fields talked more, and Courtney Cronin tweeted out the quote here. I don't think it's too many coaching voices, but I just think when you're fed a lot of information at a point in time, when you're trying to think about that info when you're playing, it doesn't let you play like yourself. You're trying to process so much information. Your quarterback is in that headspace. Chase Claypool's a disaster and was an expensive disaster. We glossed over it just there. The Bears' defensive coordinator is away from the team, but when asked for clarity on that, and it's been the case, when asked for clarity on that, Matt Eberflus today provided none, including, I've seen the tweets here at least, the question of, is he still the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears? Is he still employed? I don't think we have any public information whatsoever as to where this guy is or why he's away from the team or what's going on. In a way that if it was a personal tragedy, I would certainly hope that the head coach would say he's got some personal things going on in his life where we support him, we're thinking, all of those. That's really easy.
Yes.
And if you think he sucks, say, yeah, it was unconventional, but we had to go our separate ways before the season, and I'm going to call the defense from here on out. I can do that, and we'll figure it out. But we're not going to tell you. We're going to keep that to ourselves. It's like the 5th or 6th sign of this being an outrageously dysfunctional team right now.
I mean, there's some money that should be probably placed on the Chiefs to cover. I mean, somehow the line went from 13 to 12.5.
I'm not at all convinced the Chiefs cover, by the way. I think the Bears are a tire fire, and I'm not going to bet on the Chiefs to cover.
Yeah, I know. Looked it up. Larry Borum in 2021, so his rookie year, in 2 different games. One game where he came in for an injured player, and another game later on in the season when he came in for an injured player, but played almost the entire game there. He played 15 snaps in week 1 of his rookie year and 71 snaps at left tackle in week 16. So he has played 86 snaps of left tackle in his career. That was back in 2021. And last year, in 1 week, he came in for an injured player. He started at left guard and played 42 snaps. So the left side of the offensive line, he's played 128 snaps in his career, 86 of those at left tackle, 2 different games subbing in 2 years ago. And that's who is expected to start at left tackle for the Bears coming up this weekend against the Chiefs. And a motivated, healthy Chris Jones and a Karl Loftus who looks pretty good, and an FAU that's showing signs, and the Danimal that's out there getting better and better, and all the different blitzes that Steve Spagnuolo and trying to heat up the quarterback and coming from different ways. they may cover it just by scoring 13 points.
I hope the fourth quarter of this game looks like a preseason game. I want not, and you're probably not going to get to Blaine Gabbert territory late in the third, but I'd be perfectly happy to see Felix and Keandre Coburn get a bunch of work.
That'd be nice.
Be happy to see it.
We'll see if that happens. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
913-912-4810. We'll get into things we heard from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Trent McDuffie, and George Karlaftis, and what the day for the defensive line might be for the Chiefs this weekend with the starting left tackle for the Bears placed on IR. And does Chris Jones get to 15.5 sacks by week 7?
I thought you were going to say by the end of week 3.
Does Chris Jones break Derek Thomas's record for sacks in a game? I'm going to say no, but only because he's taken out of the game in the fourth quarter with 5.5 sacks because they're up by 70.
This is David Hughes, General Manager at Aristocrat Motors Pre-Owned in Lee Summit, and I want to introduce you to our
meal time. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, heading up until 2 o'clock. We've got Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold coming up at 6. Sporting KC taking on Nashville at 7:30 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The program coming up an hour from now. Mick, how are you, man?
I'm great.
Good.
It's good to be here. It's good to have the door open.
Yes, it's nice outside.
Nice outside.
It's pretty.
It's a pretty fall day.
Yep.
Whoa,
It's
not fall yet.
not fall yet.
Tomorrow, right? Or is it today?
I think it's
Like the
I'm gonna say Saturday for some reason.
4th?
No, it's never 24th. It's usually 20th or 21st.
20 to the 24th. It's somewhere in there. It starts with the 2, and it definitely doesn't have a 5 after it.
It's got a September in.
Or I went in my Google Calendar have that. I feel like that's really let me down. Let me just Google it, I guess. Hey Google, if you know, just put it on my calendar.
Hey Siri.
First day of fall.
When's the first day of fall?
September 23rd. Saturday. I nailed it.
Okay, there we go. September 23rd.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yep. So it is Saturday.
It's a great summer day.
Sorry, fall goes until December 20th?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I thought that it was
Silly.
always 20th. For all
See, the 20th, that's-
Septembers, the
yeah.
Decembers, the whatever would be
Hey
next,
Siri,
the Marches.
when does spring start?
Spring began March 20th, 2023.
Told you. What are we doing messing around
Hey
with the 23rd
Siri.
here?
Hey Siri, what's the first day of summer?
Summer began June 21st.
Oh, see, that's what I said. 20th or 21st.
20,
And
21,
now we're messing around with the
23, 20. 20, 20, 21, 23. Ridiculous.
Figure it out.
I
Mother
mean,
Nature.
Eyes go across, falls down a well, eyes go across, gets kicked by a mule, they go uncrossed. I don't know.
Time's a construct anyways.
It really is. It's a flat circle.
It should be September 21st. That's when the Earth, Wind, and Fire song is taking place. That would be so easy to remember.
Because then you would remember.
Yes, you would always remember the 21st night
of September.
And it's not at midnight.
When it officially became fall.
It's like 7:30 p.m. It officially becomes fall because it's at least the night of now.
That's right. So there's some controversy. In
all the leaves blowing
the
away.
World of dating and celebrity couples.
Yeah.
In whether or not there is confirmation or there was just a little bit of having fun at the audience's expense.
Are they really in love?
So
With Jason?
Yes.
Have we heard him say it yet? Have we heard the clip of the audio?
Here's the clip. This is from 94 WIP. This is Jason Kelsey this morning being interviewed and talking about his brother and the relationship with Mrs. Shake It Off.
Mrs.
By the way, how'd they
Miss.
do? How those two doing? How those love? No, that's all right.
Hey,
Yeah. Jason,
I
you know
don't
everything.
know.
Everything you say gets quoted on these days. You know that, right?
I know, I get it, and that's the way the world works. And Tony kind of blindsided me with that question on Thursday night, and I don't know. It's hard to answer because I don't really know a lot about what's happening in Travis's love life, and I try to keep his business kind of his business,
Sure.
and stay out of that world. But having said that, man, I think they're doing great, and I think it's all 100% true, and I hope that this soon goes a mile. No, I'm joking. I don't really know what's happening. So.
Wow. Good for them, Jason. Good for them, man. That's excellent.
So while he says it's 100% true, and then the other hosts start talking, underneath at the end, Dylan, can you find just that part where he starts to laugh and goes, "Nah, I'm just joking. I don't know what's happening with them."
Oh, he did say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can't hear it at first a couple times, and it's like, oh, wow, he has confirmed it. And so people are then just taking the quote and putting it out there. And then also that is that audio's there, but the mind is subjective. So you're waiting for him to say it's 100% true. He says it, and then the host is like, whoa. So play the last 10 seconds or so.
I think it's all 100% true, and I hope that this soon goes a mile. No, I'm joking. I don't really know what's happening. So.
Right there. Goes a mile now. No, I'm joking. I don't know what's happening.
What did he say after
You're gonna
100% true?
It's 100% true, and I hope this thing goes a mile. No, I'm joking.
Goes a
It's all
mile?
100% true, and I hope that this soon goes a mile. No, I'm joking. I don't really know what's happening. So.
I hope this thing goes a mile. No, I don't even know what's going on. I'm joking.
No, I'm joking.
What's happening?
I'm joking. I don't even know what's happening with that.
What's happening. So.
So I'd say he's joking.
I think he's joking. Yeah, I think he was leading into the, it's 100% true. No, I have no idea. I mean, although I do find it hard to believe that Jason or Kylie, his wife, has not asked Travis one time, hey, are you dating Taylor Swift? What's the deal with this Taylor Swift stuff going on?
Absolutely have.
Yeah, they absolutely have.
Kylie,
And they absolutely are.
Is my sister-in-law going to be Taylor Swift?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, they've done 2 podcasts since the
I
whole
mean,
thing
how
came
much can you date a person when you're in Kansas City, 24/7 football, right? And
Yeah.
she's still touring, right? Is she
No,
all over the
she's
place?
on a
She's
break
done?
right now.
She's on a break.
She's on a
So
break.
Maybe
She
she's
goes
in Kansas City.
She goes back to touring in October. So she's had mid-August until like October. So this is the perfect time to have a budding relationship.
I'm guessing they've seen each other, they've hung out, but I wouldn't call it dating. That's my guess as to where the relationship is.
Hooking up?
What?
What do you call it? Hooking up?
No, I just said
Hanging
they
out.
have hung out a couple times. That's it.
We don't know the nature. We don't know the nature of
But
these
not
meetings.
dating.
So
You can hook up and not be dating, Jason.
That's what I said.
Come
So like not dating, but just like hooking up.
I'm not going that far. I'm not saying that.
like-
I'm saying they've hung out before. Because he was supposedly at that club in New York where she frequents a couple months ago. But yeah, just what their schedules and everything. I don't know. I mean, you can't have time to date somebody who's living in L.A. or wherever she lives.
You know how in every free agency period, people start tweeting like, "I just saw Tyrann Mathieu at the KCI airport." Yeah. If someone would like to just start tweeting, I saw someone who looks a lot like Taylor Swift at Joe's.
Oh, I don't know if she goes anywhere without people tweeting or taking pictures or
she would have to.
The Swifties know her every step.
She would have to be in full incognito.
God.
I don't even think that'd work.
Glasses.
The secret. She would make the.
She's
Secret
not a
Service
regular-looking woman. I mean, she's very tall, very
A
skinny.
hat.
I mean, the long hair is going to be hard to hide. I mean, even if she does, people are going to notice.
What if she went around in like a wolf costume, like she was Chiefs of Hollywood? She showed up in the
I
Mahomes
think even then
suite.
you're going to be able to recognize, man. Though that's Taylor.
That's
Look at
Taylor
those long
Swift.
limbs. She's
Yeah.
got long limbs.
It's a lanky,
long
lanky wolf.
limbs. It's lanky. She's
Now,
5'11" at least.
Chiefsaholic was thicker.
Yeah,
you could definitely tell that is not, and also Chiefsaholic in the wolf costume is sitting in Mahomes' suite with Brittany and them. I don't know that that's really him. That is Taylor Swift to me.
Chiefsaholic is really banging out the bars too.
Yeah.
Really singing songs.
And why is Chiefsaholic wearing
Belting
an
out some
Eagles
songs.
jersey? Yeah. She's wearing a Kelsey Eagles jersey.
Oh,
seems weird.
So
I mean, Chiefsaholic. I mean, he's wearing a Kelsey Eagles jersey. I don't know if it's a girl in there or not. I have no idea. It's just a wolf costume and the
It's
Mahomes
just
family
Chiefsaholic
suite.
with 45 bodyguards. I guess they're worried about him escaping again.
How about if you're Jason Kelsey?
Allegedly.
You know he's in the mindset of, you know what? My little bro beat me in the Super Bowl, so I'm absolutely going to throw this on him. I am absolutely, whether it's true or not, I am going to burden him with this. He can deal with it.
I think if they were like dating and a couple, I think it'd be out by now. It would be to where
Agreed.
somebody would have said, yeah, they're together. And it wouldn't be this secret sort of like they're quietly hanging out behind the scenes and Kelsey hasn't said yes or no. Travis hasn't even been asked about it yet because they haven't talked about it on the podcast. Jason's been asked about it now 3 times. And all 3 times it's been, I don't know. Then it was I cannot confirm nor deny. Then this one was it's 100% true. No, I'm joking. I don't know what's happening with his love life.
I have 2 pieces of information. One is that I have one source who is the best source for any of this sort of rumor, who I will not tell you who it is. But
It's
who
your
says
wife.
they have it? No, it's not. She doesn't
It's your
care.
mom.
Neither one of them like Taylor Swift very much, which is whatever. But I do have a hashtag source that
your
says they
sister.
have it on hashtag good authority that they are actually hanging out. Also, did you guys see that apparently via TMZ, Kim Kardashian and NFLer Odell Beckham Jr., quote, hanging out. So what does that even mean? And also, is that Kim Kardashian and OBJ just like feeling bad about getting overshadowed by a bigger NFL power couple right now?
That they needed to put it out there like, whoa, hold on. We're hanging out too.
Hey, we're hanging out also.
Why are you guys not talking about us hanging out?
I think
We're hanging out.
Technically, I think it's OBJ, Kim Kardashian, and Chris Paul.
Come on. You're trying to keep up with us, not the Swifts and the Kelseys. It's keeping up with the Kardashians, okay?
Catch Kelsey.
You're catching
keep
the
up with the
Yeah.
Kardashians.
All right? Taylor's trying to catch Kelsey. You need to keep up with us. Odell and I are now dating. We are a thing.
Well, they're just hanging out.
We are now
Reportedly.
hanging out. That's almost dating. Not necessarily hooking up and a little Netflix and chill, but definitely hanging out.
Have the Kardashian sisters conquered every major American sport? An athlete in every major American sport?
I think
NBA,
so.
NFL, yes.
I think they've completed the Pokedex. Yeah.
They've completed the entire NBA teams.
Yeah.
And an actual full team, maybe. But I think they've gone through every single franchise in the NBA. I'm not sure about all of the
They've got more jerseys than the Morris brothers combined.
They even decided to dabble in the Live Tour a little bit, just for S's and G's. They just want all of the space covered. I don't know, actually.
I think
I'm not sure.
I bet your odds are pretty good. There's a decent number of
There's
Kardashians in the
Kardashian
ecosystem there.
Sisters, and MLS has risen, so I count 5 major American sports.
There's 3 Kardashian and 2 Jenners, but they're all the sisters. So
they were all on the show.
It's all 5. So you got 5 of them.
And Chris now 2.
Yeah,
I mean you could count Chris. Who knows?
Yep, that's true.
Trying to figure out
Caitlin.
if Devin Booker is still with whichever one he was with at that one time. This is how I know that I'm still a bigger fan of the Suns.
Definitely the biggest fan of the NBA.
Oh yeah,
the biggest fans of the NBA.
Absolutely. All right, so now that we've got
sounds like Kendall Jenner and Devin Booker broke up. I'm gonna need a minute.
That's too bad.
The hot goss segment.
Unfortunate there. That was just brought up by WIP. Tweeting that out there that and then putting the quote, "It is 100% true," and not including the. No, I'm just joking. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what's going on at all.
News outlets around here are running with the 100% true quote.
Yes, and news outlets everywhere are running with "It's 100% true."
Oof, boy, guys. Kendall Jenner and Devin Booker apparently split up in November 2022. I've got a lot of grieving to do.
Yeah, you're almost a year behind, buddy.
I'm feeling a lot of strong emotions right now.
As you should. As you should. All right, so the Royals put out a press release today at about 10:01, and that essentially, we don't need to read the press release again.
Thank God. They're always so long.
4 paragraphs of them saying we're not going to be able to decide by the end of September. We told you we wanted to have a site picked out by the end of September. We're not going to be able to do that, but we are very committed to the citizens and the people, and we are working well with Jackson and Clay County and the Chiefs, and we're going to get this whole thing resolved because we are still planning on being on the April ballot in whatever county we decide to go to, but it's not going to be decided before September. Stay tuned. They wrote 4 paragraphs, essentially, to say, not yet.
It's actually one of their shorter releases.
That's right, yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a quote from John Sherman or something along with it of like, nope, still thinking. Thanks, John. Thanks, John. So, yeah, that was the news at 10:01. A little bit before 10 o'clock, the news came out that the Royals hired a new scouting director in Brian Bridges, who was with Atlanta for 4 years and has been with the San Francisco Giants recently. And the consensus from those that would know seemed to be this is a really good hire by the Royals. I have no clue about Brian Bridges. I would be lying if I told you anything except for what Keith Law tweeted out about Brian Bridges and what David Lesky and Rainey Gisarelli and others around baseball that have said about, whoa, this is a good hire for the Royals got, okay, this is a pretty good. Well, okay, now more on board. Okay, well, JJ's doing some more. We'll see if it works out. Seems like a good hire. I don't know. But I know this. The 2024 Major League Baseball draft for the Royals will be the 3rd different scouting director running the draft in 4 years.
Yep.
Lonnie Goldberg in 21, Ontiveros in 22 and 23, and now Brian Bridges in 24. Hopefully this one sticks and stays around for a while, but Gene Watson going to the Chicago White Sox as the vice president of scouting and the assistant GM. So reworking some of the scouting parts of Major League, of the front office and the franchise is J.J. Piccolo, starting to put into action what he said earlier this year, which was last offseason they were assessing what they had. This was an evaluation year on the field, which is what John Sherman said. But earlier this summer, he talked about now this offseason will be more plans turned to action in what we're going to be doing. Well, they have a new scouting director 10 games before the season is over, and we'll see if there are any other moves this offseason with the front office or scouting or minor leagues or anything like that.
I don't know him either. I do know, changing out scouting directors, even if it's a slow turn in a positive direction. It's going to be glacial speeds. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. So maybe John Sherman's just biding time like he is with this stadium thing.
What if we put out a statement and then we hired a new scouting director? What if that happened? What if we pointed to the White Sox, who are hiring a bunch of ex-Royals?
Yeah,
the Royals
a lot
went,
of them, right?
Royals went Rays, Guardians, and Twins to model their front office and coaching staff
White
in minor
Sox
leagues.
went
After
Royals.
White Sox were like, oh, gosh, who is? The Royals have won a World Series recently, right?
They're just trying to find the small market teams who've won a World Series, in the last 15 years or so.
How do we figure out how to be a small market team in Chicago?
Yes.
Those Houston Astros, small market team. It's the Royals and Astros, the real small market teams trying to figure out how to make it in baseball. Now the Chicago White Sox trying to figure out how to make it in baseball with an elevated payroll.
Trying to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I don't know what to tell you.
That's right. Is Mahomes getting annoyed at just being around the media or talking at all? Or this is now 2 press conferences in a row that he has sounded less than enthused of being up there at the podium?
He looked, last week he looked tired and sounded tired.
Yeah, sounded like I just want to be anywhere but here.
I heard the stuff today. I haven't seen him yet.
But today sounded a lot like it did. It until it was the question about what was the question at the end that he laughed and smiled?
I think the last question might have been about the snaps and stuff.
Yeah,
that was Lebo.
Yeah,
but I mean,
so there was maybe
is
one
the
before
answer.
that.
I mean, you're the sounding board of a franchise, if not an entire league. At this point, you're being the face of both, and I could see how that would get tiring 7 years in.
Today, the first half of his press conference was, "Hey, Patrick, you just made a ton of money. Please talk about all your money publicly, and also maybe a smidge of hypocrisy from things you said before training camp." I don't think that's a legit hypocrisy. I'm just saying that's kind of like it would be weird to be like, Patrick, you get paid more money than God. You're making $1 million a week on your new deal. Would you talk about that, please? I can understand him not being the most comfortable on that topic of conversation as
I
well.
would totally look at it that way if it wasn't coming off of last week when he just looked like annoyed and I don't know if that's just
Came off a loss last week.
Exactly.
Opening
Came off
night.
a loss last week. He came off a game in which he threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and they scored 17 points. And they had some issues whether that's connecting with the receivers or the offensive line or just in general. I do wonder if there's frustration sort of flowing through and out of Patrick Mahomes at the podium. You could see it in just the first couple of weeks when they've scored a total of 37 points, and that's typical for a game, or it's closer to a game that they're doing, that he's just sort of annoyed at how the season has started offensively. And if that's the case, like, is there an annoyance of maybe a feeling that it's not getting fixed, soon or soon enough in trying to figure some things out with his wide receivers and all of the snap counts for all these different receivers and 11 different guys he's throwing to? I mean, it's really difficult to get into a groove, I believe, if you've got 11 guys that you're throwing the ball to throughout the game. That sounds great in theory, that I was just spraying the ball all over the field. Yeah, but that also means, like, if you've got 11 receivers, you don't have 2.
Yeah.
You don't have a number 1 or a number 2.
I would lean more toward him just being tired of us, honestly. In that, it's 4 days later, and he was
most likely answer being the correct one.
He didn't seem upset or anything after the game in Jacksonville on Sunday. You would think heat of the moment, the closer you are to that result, and it was a win, but it wasn't a great offensive showing that day. The closer you are to that disappointment, the more you're going to show it, and the further away you get from it, the more you're going to settle down in that regard. So I would guess, and I haven't seen him, I haven't looked at it today to see body language or anything like that, but I would guess just kind of tired of talking to, because, I mean, it's not just now, I mean, it's only 9 minutes or whatever with the local media, right, once a week, and then you post-game or whatever, but there's so much after this, right, with, was a Fox game this week, with sitting down with them and national stuff and stuff we don't see. I'm sure there's 9 other State Farm commercials he's been doing here soon. So his time is time's maxed out. He's got 2 youngins at home too.
Well, I mean,
that's got to be part
Mick
of it.
Schaefer says Patrick Mahomes needs to focus on football. More next.
Get rid of your kids.
Bronze is 7 months, right? He should be sleeping through the night.
Yeah, should be.
I mean,
pouring his own cereal.
Hey, Bronze, get it together, dude. How do you not
if he's
change your own
Mahomes and that
diapers?
athletic, he should be running by now.
Absolutely.
Definitely
cooking
changing his own
meals.
diaper. Change his own diaper. He should be able to wake up in the middle of the night and then go feed himself and then go back to sleep. You know, I mean, just like, you're a Mahomes. There's a lot to live up to. Okay? Sorry, you're a Mahomes boy.
Imagine Patrick Mahomes, just zipping a little baby bottle over there. Your hands have got to be better than Kadarius Toney's in week 1. You got to be ready with those late hands, kid. Zip.
Kadarius Toney or Bronze? They drop passes from Mahomes more.
Honey, where's Bronze's pacifier?
Oh, he caught it right in the mouth.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is you can just zip it right there and
bounces right off Bronze, and Sterling picks it up again.
Come on, man.
Why can't somebody just catch what I'm throwing to them and not bounce into somebody else's hands? Enough with this. I think we figured it out. We've got to the bottom of it, that he can't get Bronze to catch the footballs he throws his way either.
And you know what? I mean, at this point, at this age, I'm sure Sterling is a ball of energy. Yet again, Mahomes having problems with separation. Except for this time, he can't. He doesn't want all of that separation.
That's right.
There's a lot of chase down, a lot to keep up with.
It's tough, man. Second kid changes a lot. Now you're playing man-to-man.
And see, they talked about that. I mean,
he's talking about seeing a lot of zone now.
That's
so
right.
That's the problem. He's getting so much man-to-man at home that when he goes into the game and seeing zone, he's not used to it.
No, he's annoyed, though, because now he and Brittany have to play too high. And so that...
The third kid, you go to zone.
You got to keep everything in front of you still,
Yeah. Third kid, then you go...
You got to go zone.
Then you go zone. Then you're in the 3-on-2 fast break defense.
Yeah.
On the basketball court, which he played basketball, so he's used to that, too. If you have the third kid, we stopped at 2. We played man-to-man. That was it.
You good?
Like, you got one, I got one? Okay, great. Break. And go.
One's got my parts, one's got yours. Okay, we're good.
That's exactly right.
We did it, everybody.
She's out of town for the next few days, so it is. I'm playing zone defense now.
Oh, single high.
That's right. Just call me Kendall Fuller.
Have you considered just blitzing, Jason? Have you just considered just being like, just
blitz him out? Blitz him right to bed at 6:45.
Yes, that's perfect.
Hey, we don't go to bed this early. You do now.
You do today.
All right. I'm blitzing you. I'm speeding you up right now. Okay. I'm getting you all flustered. I bet you can't answer questions now. No homework for you. Where's your outlet? The bed.
Need a hot read or something.
But no, seriously, they're probably going to go to bed at 5, so I can just have the night to myself.
That's just you being
a lot of sports tonight.
I know.
Soccer game, 2 baseball games to keep track of.
Yeah, well, that's huge. Thank God I got to do that. Keep track of baseball games. Sorry, I stopped. Roughly a month ago.
Not even the Monarchs. They're going for the ship tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Going to the ship.
I'm not trying to get out there for that action.
To the ship. You know, I'm going to head to Blue Valley Northwest on Friday to watch Lee Summit North. Taking the kids there.
Yeah, good.
Taking Everett.
That's going to be a
Jules.
huge game.
Yep. So yeah.
What's the game? What's the matchup?
Lee Summit North, Blue Valley Northwest. I'll just walk up to the high school. You know, we live right around the corner from Blue Valley Northwest, but he goes to Olathe East. Is the high school will go to 17 miles away.
Huh.
Listen,
well, it doesn't seem like
if
that
he's
bothers
good enough
you.
at sports, you can get around that.
That's exactly right.
It's not 17 miles away, though, right?
I'm just joking. It seems like it's that far away, considering it's like, hey, I just hit a driver and a wedge to get there, and this one I'm gonna have to actually drive and stoplights and multiple to just and he will and whatever. All right,
Too late to make him a lefty.
He bats left. Throws right though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. We need him to get crafty.
Oh yeah, he needs to be a crafty lefty. That's true. Yeah, maybe he is. And he plays. He plays first, pitches and catches. So,
he's got the tools.
Those are the positions he plays: first, pitcher, catcher. It's great because he throws it and then runs and catches it. So
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't take him that long to run 17 miles. Then I feel like I look, Jason. If you've got the right training regimen, every school's within walking distance.
No, I'm just calling him out as how slow he pitches. We'll take a timeout. Where's up next?
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. Again, go to 810WHB.com/guaranteed foods to sign up for the Guaranteed Foods Tailgate Pack giveaway. We will pick that winner today. So $500 value in the Guaranteed Foods Tailgate Pack giveaway. All you got to do is go to 810WHB.com/guaranteed foods and register. That's it. And it includes 4 slabs of baby back ribs, brisket burn-ins, cheesy corn, bone-in honey barbecue wings, Cure 81 honey glazed ham, jalapeno soft pretzel bites, Johnsonville brats, chicken tender strips, baked beans with brisket, baked potato casserole, and a gourmet turtle cheesecake. All by click, click, boop, 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 click, 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 and $500 there to somebody. Matt Derrick tweeting out a couple of minutes ago says, no surprises at Wednesday afternoon Chiefs practice. No Nick Bolton, Kadarius Toney, or Richie James. Willie Gay and Isaiah Pacheco here but not practicing. I guess that's no surprise based on what Andy Reid said. If you did not hear Andy Reid, that's quite the surprise for you. Andy Reid starting his press conference today with injury news in that Richie James has an MCL injury. Of the 5 players that were mentioned, his seems to be the most severe. He said the other players are day-to-day. Richie James might be a little bit longer. Isaiah Pacheco has a hamstring bruise, and he's day-to-day. Kadarius Toney has a sprained toe. He's day-to-day. Nick Bolton has the ankle that he injured in the game. He's day-to-day. And Willie Gay has the quad that he injured in the game. He's also day-to-day. When did Toney sprain his toe? The last
Reed
snap
mentioned him and Watson
chasing
post-game,
down his fumble,
right?
Well, the last snap that Toney played in was the 3rd down and 20 or 3rd down and goal after the back-to-back false starts that Mahomes threw it to Kelsey, who jumped in the air and then got hit but dropped it. Kadarius Toney was in on that 3rd down play, and then that's the last time he played. Because the next possession was running out the clock. But even on that 3rd down that they threw to Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney wasn't in the game. The motion man was Sky Moore on that drive. When they passed the ball, the motion man was Sky Moore. The motion man the previous 2 possessions was Kadarius Toney. So did he injure it on that specific play, or did it happen at different times and he was playing through it, and now it's just he's day-to-day. It's a sprained toe.
Most of the time, the injury occurs and then you play. Brady Cook, right? I mean,
Will Howard. Yeah, both
of
finished
them.
the game, and both are questionable for Saturday.
Yeah, post game it was Kadarius Toney left foot and Justin Watson getting dehydrated. Those were the 2 post game injury updates. But I thought Reed said for Toney that he injured it and then came back in.
Okay.
At some point in that stretch, but I
did not hear
exactly.
the post game on Sunday because little man had a baseball game, and then I was going to Dave Chappelle's. I mean, sorry, I wasn't listening.
Reed said he played the majority of the snaps. He was literally confirmed to do, and should be fine. So he did not make it sound serious. Now he misses practice today. So,
but again, he ended up coming back and playing, and apparently it wasn't on that last play that he was in, which is to me good news because he looked like Kadarius Toney when he was out there in those last 2 possessions. He wasn't hobbled. He wasn't favoring anything. He was, running his routes.
But this is who he is. He's going to be injured a lot.
Yeah.
Multiple times every season.
And
it's twice already this season.
Yeah. And if they have to take it easy during practice, whatever. Take it easy during practice. Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, again, day-to-day, they both returned to the game and played. Pacheco with the hamstring injury. But it seems that Richie James is the one that is the bigger deal, might be out a little bit. Bigger deal in terms of severity of injury. Right. Might be out a little bit longer. We'll see who returns punts and who just extends their arms to their side to let people know that they are not returning the kick on kickoffs. I could actually do that. I'll take the check.
You could, yeah.
I'd love to do that. Although I think they would kick it short to me like they did. It's okay. I'll just call fair catch.
Fair
though.
catch. We
Sorry,
got to catch it, though, bud.
Yeah.
Got to catch it.
I got that.
Do you?
I can catch the football, okay?
I've
never had a problem catching it.
I would love
a kickoff from a professional, from an NFL kicker who can make it do lots of things in the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could have caught Kelsey.
Okay, Jason.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's go right now. Right now.
I think
kickoff's going to be easier to catch than the punt, I think.
I think
the punt would, I'm not trying to get a Tommy Townsend punt.
Yeah, no, I think I could field maybe half of the kickoffs kicked directly to me. almost none of them cleanly, but I think I might be able to keep it from hitting the ground half the time. Maybe that might be high.
Give me
man.
a week's worth of practice, and I'll go
out there right now.
I would want to be able to just all of us do it cold, and then see. I don't know who we need to. I'm sure Kendall knows a kicker we could get.
Here's the deal, though. Even if you throw up that fair catch signal,
I do think I would throw up also.
Right,
specific on the punt return.
Those guys are closer to you than you think.
Yeah,
10 yards away is going to be really close for you and me. To where like that's going to be a lot of panic there, and you're like. Half of your thoughts are going to be like, wait, did they see my fair catch signal? Are they coming right towards me? Are they just going to blow me up and take the 15-yard penalty?
That happened on Monday night.
I was at one of the games on Monday night. There was one of those. It was a little fair catch, and it was in the AFC game.
It was Browns and Steelers.
I can't remember
think
who did
the Steelers player called fair catch quickly. And the Browns player is running down the field, didn't see it, and then the guy catches the ball, and he just crushes him. It's like, everyone's like, whoa! And he's like, what?
I would wave 20 times.
Yeah.
The whole time, until it's time for me to catch the ball, my arm would be up there.
As soon as the ball is snapped.
Fair catching it, guys!
I would be Forrest Gump on the boat when he sees Lieutenant Dan on the dock. Yes. Oh, Lieutenant Dan! That would be me just the whole time, just waving crazily with both hands. I'd be wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man the entire time the ball is in the air when I'm running to it.
You have to declare it in a way that makes it like to where any opposing NFL player would honestly feel bad for hitting you. Did you guys see what happened to Jared Goff? Did you see the highlight of that?
No.
He had such a slick play action. It looked like it was going to be a play action, but it was a handoff. But Goff still, it was incredibly just close up magic.
Fake.
And so he hands it off, and then he continues his drop back and just kind of keeps his hands in front of him. And then the rusher from his blind side throttles him, comes popping up, celebrating toward the end zone. Meanwhile, the play is continuing the other direction. Two flags come flying in.
Too good of a fake, man.
As he's flexing, two flags flying into the frame. It was hilarious.
See, I don't think those should be flags.
That was one of the takes on Twitter. People say, look, if you're faking, like you still have the ball, you should be able to get a hit.
That would be the same thing as like if you play action to the running back. Oh, I can't hit the running back because he doesn't actually have the ball. You're trying to make me think you have the ball.
It was hilariously late. I understand why the refs are like, well, that can't be right.
Hold on, is he allowed to? I don't think he's allowed to do that. No, let's just throw the flag. We'll figure it out later. Can we go to replay on this?
Jared Goff's just gonna turn back and watch the play and just throw his arms out every time when everybody hands off.
I don't have it anymore.
I don't have it.
He turns out to be the guy that's waving fair catch every time. Like, no, he's got the ball. Hit him.
Next time, fake the handoff, stuff it up your jersey, put your hands up. Like, I don't have it. You see, and then he can just shimmy downfield.
That's more of a sachet.
What was the commercial? Put it in a baby carriage. Get it out. Oh no, it's the football.
Here, Mick, you can watch the play first, then I'll show Jason. So 52 here is the rusher off the edge. They let him through because they know
they don't want to block him.
He's full celebration in the opposing red zone here. They let him be a free rusher because the ball's not back there, and the offense knows that.
That makes sense. You don't need to block that guy. Yeah.
He might be still celebrating.
Oh, man.
The celebration
is great.
Two flags.
Well, the celebration is sort of perfect timing because as he's getting up, the whistle's blowing because the running back's getting tackled. So he's getting up and hearing the whistle blowing.
That's a great point. Absolutely correct. And it might have actually technically been a little pop pass. It's one of those jet sweep kind of motions. I actually think it is technically a pass where he just dumps it off right in front of him to the guy in motion and gets clobbered.
And both refs were sort of surprised after they saw it. They looked over like, wait a minute, what's going on? And the ref just sort of drops the flag at Jared Goff's laying still body. Yeah. His corpse. The flag actually made a white chalk outline of Jared Goff. And then they put the defensive player in handcuffs.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that, but they did. That's what happens when you hit the quarterback in the NFL these days. So, all right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more Zone, wrapping things up on this Wednesday edition, hanging out with Mick Schaefer, going up until 2 o'clock. More Zone next.
You're in the Zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us. Final segment here of this Wednesday edition of the show.
Thank God.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Always good for a compliment to make us feel better.
Volunteers, not hostages.
Thank you, Mike Tomlin. That is great. News of the day so far. Royals have released a statement saying that they will not have a site picked out before the end of September. Royals have hired a new scouting director, Brian Bridges. Braxton Jones, the starting left tackle for the Bears, has been placed on IR, played the entire game on Sunday. A neck injury popped up after the game. He's been placed on IR. That means they will be going with a rookie right tackle, and Larry Borum, Missouri Tiger, will be starting at left tackle for the Chicago Bears. He has played 86 total snaps at left tackle in his career, and that was in 2021, his rookie season. So, and they'll have rookie Darnell Wright as a right tackle. So they've got never really played left tackle in the NFL except for a couple of years ago, sparingly, and rookie right tackle in his third game for the Chiefs against the Bears. The Bears also don't have a defensive coordinator with the team. That Matt Eberflus is like, what? Why are you guys worried about that? It's not a big deal. Everybody. Do other teams? Oh, they do? 31 other teams have their defensive
Where's
coordinator.
he
at?
He's not with the
defensive
team?
coordinator? Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know because Matt Eberflus will not tell.
Retreat or something like that?
He will not.
How long has he been missing?
I think it was right before the start of this season. I'll have to double check on the
It's
exact.
now going on 2 weeks. Now there's milk cartons, things like that for the defensive coordinator because we don't know anything else more than that.
Including, like, is he still employed by the Bears? Is he going to come back? Do you want him to come back? It's just been nothing of that for Alan Williams.
Yep, no timetables on really anything right now with the Bears. Tevin Jenkins, who they drafted a couple of years ago to play left tackle, started the season on IR. You're familiar with that guy, Mick, and Tevin Jenkins.
I know him from Topeka, Oklahoma
That's right.
Stater.
Cody Whitehair's had to move around a little bit. We're familiar with that guy.
K-State.
So yeah, it'll be an interesting reshuffling of the offensive line for the Bears this weekend.
So
and
you
a
take
quarterback that is
Chiefs to
strong.
cover
I'm going to
12
take the Chiefs to cover 12.5. The total keeps dropping. The total now is down to 47.5. It's gone from 49 to 48, now 47.5. And I'm just wondering if that is, well, we don't think the Chiefs are going to score 45 points.
Yeah.
And we're not sure the Bears will score against how good the Chiefs' defense is. So the Chiefs might cover, beating them 37-10, and you took the under. And the under hit at 37-10. So if the Jags scored 9 points on the Chiefs, how many can the Bears get in the game coming up on Sunday? So,
it also looks like it might just have been the 1 week for Alan Williams, the Bears DC. He wasn't with the team last week, is with the phrasing that I keep seeing. So now again, that was like personal matters, but they haven't said anything about if he's even still around. Very weird.
Yeah. Well, they also had their starting right guard missing last week for personal reasons as well. So yeah, nothing going on in Chicago at all. The Bears.
At least everything else is working
perfectly fine. But no, it's funny because around Chicago, there's a lot of things to worry about with that Bears team, especially offensively. And here, the defense has been awesome. The offense you expect to come around because it's Patrick Mahomes. And the conversation has been tackle, and both the starting tackles have played. Every snap but, 2 or 3? Because of
a couple.
Prince coming in and playing a couple of snaps. Like, Jacksonville worried about their tackles. Anton Harrison got roasted, and Cam Robinson's out for 4 weeks. And the Chiefs worrying about their tackles because they need to be better at timing the snap count, with now the spotlight being on Juwan Taylor and the penalties that he picked up. And, it's back-to-back games that Donovan Smith has a holding penalty. And he was the most penalized player last year in the NFL of offensive linemen.
But it was Taylor with 2.
Yeah, 2 holding penalties, a false start.
And illegal formation.
And an illegal formation. So other than those 4, he was fine. I thought when he wasn't committing penalties, he was fine.
Yeah.
Juwan Taylor was.
How was the rest of the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
It was not great. But that guy did break his ankle. You see that? Guy broke his ankle jumping down from the balcony.
What was he yelling at us?
Not sure. But I am worried about that guy's lower leg. Looks like a high ankle sprain, too.
You say Sick'em Bears? Is he a Baylor fan? Sick something.
That's weird. Was he sending a death threat to the Colorado State safety?
That's really, dude, pull together, man.
What was he doing, man? That's odd. So yeah, there's the news of the day, and we'll see what happens with the Chiefs tackles, as this week comes along. But it's been interesting that Andy Reid is not letting there be any excuse about officiating whatsoever. Andy Reid has now twice said
he knows it.
Yeah, it's on him. Yeah, it's on him. Yeah, there was the same officiating crew we had in training camp.
I thought that was interesting because it was we had them in training camp and maybe they didn't say anything in training camp.
Or maybe they did, and he was like, "Hey, same officiating crew. They told you then."
Both these things seem like an easy fix, but Mitch Schwartz got on and talked about it not being an easy fix. It's harder than you think.
Yeah.
To change things up if you've done something forever like this.
He's done this for 4 years that hasn't been called. That's been the technique and the alignment. And now in year 5, in the middle of the season, it's like, oh, by the way, you need to change that because now they're watching you specifically. Yeah. They're not watching the offensive line. They're watching you. And they're not watching other tackles. They're watching you. Watching you.
You know who I'm watching?
Who?
Whoever's on KSHB 41. Ideally, Mick Schaefer.
Oh, we're in that. Cool.
Yeah. Mackenzie Nelson.
Oh, Mackenzie.
Even better.
Even better.
Dia.
Even better.
Oh.
Better than Mick.
Kevin Holmes, Bears fan. Don't watch that. Actually, do. Could be a breakdown.
Must-see TV.
Poor guy.
Hey, Chiefs fans. Football is back and bigger than ever in Kansas City. Score your tickets for the Chiefs and Bears today at Tickets.